Chapter 2669. Su Fong steered the flaming cloud-flying carriage and sped through the cold, desolate, and vast primal chaos. They encountered countless dangers along the way, but Su Fong carefully avoided them all. There were also a few times when they encountered some powerful foreign races and monsters. Su Fong and the experts under him had no choice but to fight in the primal chaos before they could escape. Su Fong didn't stay idle along the way. The large amount of thoughts and treasures in the six extreme Tao Sage celestial body required an extremely long time to gradually transform into his strength. By constantly devouring the various treasures in the celestial body space, his physical body, Xian Yang celestial body, and Heaven's Path celestial body were improving at an astonishing speed. Xian Wang's Six Paths Pagoda's quality was also improving at an astonishing speed. The six spiritual items that came from the six extreme Tao Sage celestial body were similar to the Earth origin stalactite. In any mystic world, they were treasures that even Tao Lords would be envious of. How could Xianwang's Six Paths Pagoda's improvement speed not be astonishing? It wouldn't take long for Xianwang's Six Paths Pagoda to become Xianbao. At that time, he would be able to cultivate the Xian Huang celestial body. At the same time, Su Fong was further integrating with the six extreme Tao Sage celestial body. However, the integration was extremely difficult. The main reason was that his cultivation was too low. There is a world of difference between him and the six extreme Tao Sage. Even if he had integrated with his Tao heart, it wasn't easy for him to unleash the six extreme Tao Sage's strength. In the internal space of the six extreme Tao Sage's lightning celestial body, Su Fong obtained the reincarnation extermination fruit and continuously refined his Tao heart. This caused his previously damaged Tao heart to become sturdy again. Moreover, after the continuous refinement of the reincarnation extermination fruit, the rainbow jade Tao heart released an even brighter light. His Tao heart was like a perfect rainbow jade. Ancestral Gragon was also improving at an astonishing speed in the internal space of Su Fong's Heaven's Path celestial body with the help of large amounts of resources. In the internal space of the Heaven's Path celestial body, the experts that Su Fong brought out from the Pansong universe were devouring large amounts of high-grade resources. Many of them had reached the Transcendence realm, mainly Emperor experts like Xiao Wanting, Sang Xiao, Wei Dao, Xuanxin, and the others' improvements were extraordinary as well. However, they were still far from transcending. They needed time to settle down. There were two groups of Xian clan cultivators suppressed by Su Fong. There were more than 150 people in total. Among them, there was a powerful Tao Lord. Su Fong moved him from the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body to a void whirlpool in the Jiuxuan Tao Palace. He sealed them inside with a formation and gave them many resources to cultivate. Time passed. Unknowingly, 1,000 years had passed. QL11 Su Fong, who was sitting cross-legged in an independent space inside the fire cloud flying car, suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a look of joy. After 1,000 years of fusion, I can finally use a portion of the six extreme Tao Saints' power. Although I can only use it once with my current strength, and it's not even 1% of the six extreme Tao Saint power, it's enough to be my trump card. Su Fong's heart was filled with great joy. However, he was immediately startled. And it's been more than 1,000 years, so why haven't we reached the profound world yet? In the chaos, one needed the profound positioning disc to not get lost. Su Fong had killed so many experts, so he naturally had the profound positioning disc in his hands. With a fire cloud flying car speed, it should have crossed the chaos and reached the nearest profound world in more than 1,000 years. Now, it was still flying in the chaos, which made Su Fong wonder if he had gone in the wrong direction. He took out the profound positioning disc and reconfirmed his position. Su Fong discovered that the profound positioning disc had lost its function, and the chaos around him was in a sealed state. Su Fong used the Great Perfection ability, and, at the same time, used the Heavenly Divination solution to sense the surrounding space. As a result, his divine light changed instantly. The chaos around him was in a distorted whirlpool state. In other words, the fire cloud flying car had been spinning in this distorted space since an unknown time and had not flown far at all. That was not all. In this distorted space, there was also the power of time, which made the surrounding time flow faster. This 1,000 years was not really 1,000 years. Could it be that we've fallen into a natural trap in the chaos? Su Fang's heart sank. The chaotic void seemed to have nothing, yet contained unimaginable dangers. Once one fell deep into it, then not to mention a truth Tao cultivator like Su Fang, even a Tao Lord or a peerless expert that surpassed a Tao Lord might lose their lives. He immediately calmed down and continued to sense. No, this distorted space is naturally formed. Someone is controlling a supreme Xian Bao to distort space and accelerate time. Su Fang mastered the heavenly divination solution and had the purple fate celestial body, so he could distinguish the difference between the power of the Xian Bao and the natural trap. Space and time are supreme great Daos. A Xian Bao that can display such power is definitely not an ordinary cultivator. It can only be from the 3 highest mysterious sects. Su Fang speculated and immediately understood. Is this person Ling Xingqian, or a peerless expert that Ling Xingqian invited from the 3 highest mysterious sects? It shouldn't be Ling Xingqian. Although he escaped with his life, he was heavily injured. He definitely wouldn't dare to chase after me. It must be an expert from the 3 highest mysterious sects. Calm down. I have to calm down. Otherwise, I won't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. Su Fang's colorful jade Dao heart emitted waves of cool and gentle aura, causing Su Fang to quickly calm down. Then, Su Fang began to think of a way to escape. Outside the distorted space Su Fang was trapped in, there was a praying mat floating in the chaos. The praying mat released an empty space power, isolating the cold and deathly, still chaotic aura outside. In the space inside the praying mat, a white-haired old woman sat cross-legged in the center. At the edge of the praying mat sat a young man. It was Ling Xingqian. The old woman wore a black robe and looked very old. Her skin was like the bark of a withered tree. Her aura was empty, as if she was beyond the chaos. 100 miles in front of them, a black flag that was 10 meters long was floating. It was constantly shaking and emitting waves of space distortion and time acceleration divine might that enveloped Su Fang. Under the envelopment of the flag Xian Bao's power, Su Fang was constantly circling in a small area. It was like a ghost that mortals encountered. Moreover, the flow of time within the Xian Bao's divine might was 10 times faster than outside. Su Fang had spent over 1,000 years inside, but only 10 years had passed outside. Ling Xingqian suddenly said, "Elder Zhuexin, why don't you directly act and suppress Su Fang? Why do you have to go through so much trouble?" The white-haired old woman said in a hoarse and gloomy voice, "This person dares to look down on our 3 highest mysterious sects. He even devoured your fortune and destroyed your foundation. How can we let him off so easily? I want this person to die in endless despair like an ant that has fallen into a hopeless situation." The white-haired old woman's voice caused Ling Xingqian to shudder. The white-haired old woman was called Zhu Xian, and she was an elder of the 3 highest mysterious sects punishment hall. Her cultivation had surpassed a Tao Lord, and she was narrow-minded. She would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, and her methods were extremely ruthless. Ling Xingqian looked at the fiery cloud flying chariot in the distorted space. Su Fang was still flying forward, seemingly unaware that he had fallen into a trap. A trace of pity surged in Ling Xingqian's deep eyes. It was as if he could imagine the despair and pain Su Fang would suffer in the end. "You dare to kill my brother and devour my fortune. You only have yourself to blame for this outcome." Ling Xingqian's eyes flashed with delight and ruthlessness. Then, he turned to Zhu Xian and said, "Elder Zhu Xian, please hand Su Fang's corpse to me after we've suppressed him. My younger brother died because of him, and he even devoured my fortune. I must tear him into 1,000 pieces to vent my hatred." Zhu Xin snorted coldly. Ling Xingchen, you're probably interested in some treasure on him, right? The older, the wiser. She could tell Ling Xingchen's intention at a glance. Ling Xingchen smiled embarrassedly. I can't hide it from you. He has a treasure that I need, but it's not very useful to you. The treasure he was talking about was naturally the 6 extreme Tao Saint's celestial body that Su Fong obtained. He intentionally hid this from Zhu Xin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the chance to obtain it. Zhu Xin said, he's just a true Tao realm cultivator. The treasure on him naturally won't catch my eye. However, he has the ability to devour fortune. It's really extraordinary. I must get it. Ling Xingchen was secretly anxious. If he suppressed Su Fong and searched his soul, all of his secrets would be exposed. Moreover, Ling Xingchen was worried that as time passed, Su Fong would completely control the 6 extreme Tao Saint's celestial body. When he unleashed the supreme power of the 6 extreme Tao Saint, even Zhu Xin wouldn't be able to suppress him. Just as Ling Xingchen and Zhu Xin were discussing how to divide Su Fong, there was a sudden change. A mysterious purple gas, which carried a godly aura of controlling the Xian Bao, shot up into the sky from the flaming cloud flying carriage. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the impact of this godly aura, the Xian Bao that could distort space and accelerate time started to tremble uncontrollably. The aura it released became chaotic. At this moment, Su Fong flew out from the flaming cloud flying carriage and absorbed the flying carriage into his body. His Xianyang, celestial body, merged with his physical body. He used the burning light escape technique and instantly turned into a magical state of fire. Chi! The fire shot out. Taking advantage of the fact that the Xian Bao's godly aura was weakened and became chaotic, he flashed out of the godly aura's range. After rushing out of the Xian Bao's shackles, Su Fong didn't stop at all. With a flash of fire, he disappeared into the chaos. Ling Xingchen was shocked and astonished. His eyes flashed with surprise and disbelief. Zhu Xin snorted and said, "This ant is indeed extraordinary. He actually has the ability to control the Xian Bao. He even mastered the long-lost burning light escape technique. No wonder you, Ling Xingchen, suffered such a great loss in his hands." After that, she unhurriedly put away the flag dark treasure, and then she urged the meditation cushion to slowly pursue towards the direction that Su Fong fled towards. The praying mat seemed to be floating slowly, but it was actually drifting through space. In a flash, it traveled through the endless void. Chapter 2670. Weakling, I can suppress you with just a thought. Let's see how you're going to escape from me. On the futon, Executioner Grandma's murky eyes flashed with a sinister light as a thought flashed out from her forehead. In an instant, the thought ignored the restrictions of space and time and appeared above Su Fong in a flash. QL 11, it was as if the will of the heavenly Tao had descended and was going to suppress Su Fong. The 3 supreme mysterious sects have gone too far. Under the pressure of the will, Su Fong's burning light escape technique was immediately interrupted, and he returned to his normal state. Facing the terrifying pressure of the will, Su Fong immediately merged his Tao heart with the 6 extreme Tao Saint's will and released it. The 2 formless wills clashed together. Executioner Grandma controlled the will of the heavenly Tao. Not to mention a Daozhun realm cultivator. Even an ordinary Tao master would have his Tao heart crushed and his will collapsed. However, the 6 extreme Tao Saints was also extremely powerful. After clashing with Executioner Grandma's will, it shattered. Su Fong was affected and felt as if his Tao heart had been hit by a heavy hammer. He staggered. Fortunately, Su Fong had used the reincarnation life and death fruit to refine his Tao heart over the past 1,000 years. Thus, his Tao heart had become even sturdier. Coupled with the 6 extreme Tao Saints' will, Su Fong only felt a little uncomfortable. His body flashed, and the flame-stomped treasured boots on his feet were instantly activated. His body shot out, and he used the burning light escape technique again to escape into the depths of chaos. How can a Daojian realm cultivator have such a powerful will? Executioner Grandma raised her white eyebrows and her face turned pale. Many powerful experts had lost their will to resist when they were suppressed by her will of the heavenly Tao. Now that she had lost to a Daojian realm cultivator in front of her sect disciples, Executioner Grandma was obviously embarrassed. This and is qualified for me to spend some effort on him. Executioner Grandma snorted coldly. The futon beneath her flashed again and disappeared from the chaos. When she reappeared, she was less than 10,000 miles away from Su Fong. Square cage suppression. Grandmother Executioner released another thought. A formless cage immediately appeared in the space around Su Fong and rapidly shrunk, trying to shackle Su Fong within. So what if he's a peerless expert from the three supreme profound sects? Don't even think about suppressing my Su Fong with a mere thought. Su Fong did not hesitate to fuse his spiritual will with the thoughts within the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body. A string of lightning flashed from between his eyebrows and turned into hundreds of thoughts. Thunderbolts burst out and shattered the space cage around him, shattering Heartbreaker's thoughts. On the other hand, Su Fong seized the opportunity to break free from the shackles. Once again, he used the burning light escape technique to escape from Executioner Grandma's range of control. The Executioner Granny's bark-like face turned pale when her idea was exposed. Her eyes flashed with rage as she said, "If I let you get away again, how am I going to save my face? This seat wants to see what other tricks you have." Chi. Grandmother Executioner Granny used her futon to chase after Su Fong. This time, she released more than 10 thoughts at once. Not only did the thoughts contain her supreme will, but they also contained the time and space grand Taoist rhymes. The power released caused the flow of time around Su Fong to slow down and space to distort. No matter how fast the burning light escape technique was, it could not be used effectively and it could only hover on the spot. At the same time, the will and Taoist rhymes attacked Su Fong's Tao Palace and Tao Heart. After letting Su Fong escape consecutively, Grandmother Executioner Granny was truly enraged. She wanted to suppress Su Fong regardless of the cost. The sixth extreme Tao, Sane, has plenty of thoughts. Let's see who can beat the other. Su Fong's eyes flashed with viciousness and determination. Hundreds of thoughts were fused by his primordial spirit and will and swept out from the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body. Rumble. The collision of dermic powers and energy caused an earth-shattering explosion in the chaotic void space, causing the void space within a few million miles to tremble. Although the battle of will and Taoist rhymes was silent, it was even more shocking. It was equivalent to the battle between the sixth extreme Tao, Saint, and Grandmother Executioner Granny. Although Su Fong was only affected, his physical body and Xianyang celestial body were severely injured. Even his Tao Palace and Tao Heart were affected, causing cracks to appear. However, Su Fong finally broke through the shackles once again. He swallowed more than 10 ancient elixirs in one go and activated the burning light escape technique with all his might, disappearing into the chaotic void. In a flash, Su Fong flew across a few million miles of void space. I can't go on like this. I will be suppressed by the experts of the three highest mysterious sects sooner or later. Su Fong was anxious. Suddenly, in the chaotic void ahead, a black spot suddenly appeared. It expanded at an alarming speed and turned into a huge black hole. A brutal and violent aura surged out from the depths of the black hole, causing Su Fong to tremble in fear. The Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and the Heavenly Secret Unraveling True Scripture were flashing crazily, indicating that fatal danger was about to appear from the black hole. At the same time, the cattail hassock with the ability to escape brought Zhu Xian Granny and Ling Xingchen out from behind again. This time, the distance between them was even closer. They were only 1,000 miles away from Su Fong. There must be an extremely powerful monster hiding in the black hole. It must have been alerted by the battle just now. Although it is dangerous, it is also my hope of escaping. Su Fong made up his mind and dashed towards the black hole. "Aunt, even if you run to the end of the chaotic void, you will not be able to escape from my hands." Zhu Xi and Granny looked at Su Fong's figure with eyes full of resentment. Her aura seemed to be a little weak, and her face looked even older. It was obvious that she was at a disadvantage in the battle of thoughts just now. Ling Xingqian sat on the edge of the cattail hassock with his legs crossed. He did not dare to look at Zhu Xi and Granny, as he was afraid that she would misunderstand. Zhu Xi and Granny was known for her narrow-mindedness in the three highest mysterious sects. Ling Xingqian would be in trouble if she was angered by him after losing so much face this time. Roar! A roar came from the black hole, and the chaotic void around it trembled. Then a ferocious and terrifying toad monster crawled out from the black hole. The toad monster was 1,000 miles long, and its body was covered with terrifying pustules that were the size of small hills. Its eyes were ferocious, and its body emitted a terrifying aura that surpassed that of a Dowlord. Sky-swallowing poisonous toad. Zhu Xi and Granny's eyes changed, and she hesitated. The sky-swallowing poisonous toad was a powerful monster that lived in the chaotic void. It had the talent of devouring the void and poison. In terms of strength, it was at the same level as Zhu Xi and Granny. However, the sky-swallowing poisonous toad had a unique advantage in the chaotic void. Even Zhu Xi and Granny had to be wary of it. If she was not careful, she might lose her life. Ling Xingqian was worried about the six extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, and he could not help but say, "Elder Zhu Xi, if Su Fong is eaten by the sky-swallowing poisonous toad, we will not be able to obtain its supreme ability of devouring providence." "Shut up. Do you think that I can't even catch an ant?" Zhu Xi and Granny was burning with anger, and she immediately let out a thunderous roar. Ling Xingqian's body shook, and blood flowed out from his mouth and nose. He was so frightened that he did not dare to say anything else. The cattail hassock under him flew into the sky again and appeared behind Su Fong. When the toad monster saw that they had ignored its existence, it was immediately enraged. It let out a furious roar and pounced towards them. At this moment, Su Fong activated the life shrinking technique and concealed his aura. In an instant, he disappeared from where he stood without a trace. Boom! The toad monster pounced towards Heartbreaker like a huge mountain, crushing down on her. Zhu Xi and Granny had to use all her strength to deal with the toad monster. How could she still care about Su Fong? 10,000 miles away, Su Fong's body flashed and appeared from the void. Strands of white hair instantly appeared on his temples. However, it was worth it to lose this bit of lifespan. He finally got rid of the experts from the three highest mysterious sects. You can slowly fight with the toad monster. I want to accompany you. The three highest mysterious sects. Oof. One day I, Su Fong, will definitely repay this debt tenfold. Su Fong executed the blazing light flight and left swiftly. After flying for over 10 days in a row, even Su Fong didn't know how far he'd flown, and he was unable to persist any longer. He asked the Xian clan's Dowlord to come out and take him into the Dao Palace. After that, the Xian clan's Dowlord rode his flying sword and flew through the chaos at a speed that wasn't inferior to the flame cloud flying carriage. He didn't have any direction or target. The Xian clan's Dowlord flew for over 500 years in a row and finally found a floating area in the chaos. Only then did Su Fong confirm that he'd completely escaped the pursuit of the experts from the three highest mysterious sects, and he ordered the Xian clan's Dowlord to stop. After that, Su Fong set up a formation on the floating area. He devoured medicinal pills and the life essence of experts to recover, while he withdrew the profound positioning disc to determine his current location. Su Fong saw some faint specks of light within the vast formation within the profound positioning disc. That represented the existence of a mystic world, and it wasn't far from here. It'll be easy so long as I can find a mystic world. Su Fong heaved a sigh of relief. He felt like a leaf floating in an ocean amidst the boundless chaos, and he might be swallowed at any moment. Only by entering a mystic world where humans resided would he be safest. Su Fong sat cross-legged and cultivated for an entire 3,000 years before he recovered to his peak state. It was mainly because his Tao Palace and Tao Heart had been damaged, and it was related to his foundation of cultivation. So, his recovery had become extremely slow. It's time to leave this place and head to a mystic world where humans reside. Right when Su Fong intended to leave the floating area, unexpectedly, two strands of life aura that were only at the lower Tao truth realm suddenly appeared from the chaos and arrived at the floating area that Su Fong was hiding in. The chaos was boundless, and it was a bit too much of a coincidence to be able to encounter two Tao truth realm cultivators in the boundless chaos. It just so happens that I need to find out where I am right now. I'll ask these two later. Su Fong thought in his heart, but he didn't show himself right away. It was a man and a woman. They wore extremely ordinary attire, and they were around the same age as Su Fong. Chapter 2671. Su Fong calmed himself down and continued to listen to the man and woman's conversation with his great perfection of hearing. If we can't find an expert to help and obtain the divine primary water, our Autumn Waters clan will be chased out of Frigid Cove and will be exterminated sooner or later. The woman said faintly, her eyes filled with anxiety and worry. Su Fong activated his great perfection vision and could see that although this woman was said to be simple and even a little shabby, she was beautiful and had an elegant temperament. The young man sighed helplessly as well. If it wasn't for our clan leader being injured, how could our Autumn Waters clan face such a situation? There are only a few hundred years left before the deadline. Where can we find the divine primary water from the Gloomwater Cove? The woman said hatefully, damn the other clans of Frigid Cove. Our clan leader has helped them a lot in the past. Now, not only are they not helping us, they are hitting us when we are down and trying to swallow our clan. Who asked our clan leader to be so kind? After listening for a while, Su Fong finally understood the whole story of the matter. The man and woman came from a place called Frigid Cove. With their strength, it was impossible for them to stay in the chaos for a long time. Therefore, it could be concluded that Frigid Cove was not far from here. The two obviously did not belong to any major force, and their cultivation clans were facing the danger of annihilation. Su Fong transmitted his thought to the Xian clan expert in the Jiushuan Tao Palace and asked, Xian Tianqing, do you know where Frigid Cove is? The Xian clan expert thought carefully for a while and shook his head. Eastern Xian divine domain is vast and boundless. I rarely leave the fire net mystical world and have never heard of Frigid Cove. It should be a small place in some mystical world of Dongxian. Su Fong asked Ancestral Graygon. Ancestral Graygon's response was beyond Su Fong's expectations. Frigid Cove? Does that place produce a water-type spirit item called the Divine Primary Water? Old Dragon, it seems like you know where this place is. There is good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? This old loach was actually keeping him in suspense at this crucial moment. Cut the crap. What's the good news and bad news? Then the bad news. Although this is still within the boundaries of the Eastern Xian Divine Domain, it is the most chaotic place in Dongxian, the heaven-forsaken wasteland. Heaven-abandoned desolate region? Su Fong had never heard of this place before. The Eastern Profound Divine Domain was too vast, and Su Fong had only been to the Fire Net Profound World. The Xian clan's Tao Lord said with surprise, the Forsaken Heavens region? Master, did your divine beast make a mistake? Is this really the heaven-forsaken desolate region? Su Fong asked curiously. Xian Tianqing, you also know about the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Of course I do. Almost every cultivator in the Eastern Profound Divine Realm knows about the heaven-forsaken desolate region. The Xian clan expert named Xian Tianqing explained to Su Fong. It turned out that the heaven-forsaken barren region was a vast plane of time and space that was naturally formed in the chaos at the border of Dongxian. Unlike the mystic world, most of the places in the heaven-forsaken desolate region were barren ruins. There were also physical territories, but they were all in some extremely complicated and chaotic natural danger zones or wastelands. There were also a large number of cultivators living in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, as well as various other races and monsters. There was no order to speak of, and various forces were as numerous as the hairs on an ox. Bandits ran rampant, and everywhere was filled with slaughter, blood, and chaos. That was not all. The heaven-forsaken desolate region was bordered by some powerful and ferocious foreign races. Therefore, it had become the front line of the conflict between the eastern profound divine domain and the foreign races, and it was frequently raided by the foreign races. At the same time, the heaven-forsaken desolate region was a training ground for the various forces of the eastern profound divine domain, including the eastern profound heavenly pavilion and the three highest profound sects. Training in the heaven-forsaken desolate region was a compulsory course for the disciples of many forces. After hearing Xian Tiansheng's explanation, Su Fang finally understood what kind of place the heaven-forsaken desolate region was, and he couldn't help but be extremely shocked. He didn't expect that after being chased by the experts of the three highest profound sects, he would accidentally run into such a dangerous place. Su Fang suddenly asked Ancestral Gregon, "Old Dragon, we've arrived at the heaven-forsaken desolate region, which is considered bad news. What's the good news you're talking about?" "The good news is that the heavenly venerable Pan Tsang's force in Dongxian was established in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Although the heavenly venerable is half dead now, his force is still there, controlled by his former disciples. I just don't know if it has been annexed by other forces." Su Fang was very surprised by Ancestral Gregon's words. Ancestral Gregon continued, "There's another piece of good news. This ancestor knows about the drifting Chill Isle because that place is rich in divine primary water and is rather famous in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Divine primary water looks like an extraordinary spiritual item. What is its use? Divine primary water is quite extraordinary," Ancestral Gregon said slowly. Divine primary water was a supreme spiritual water used to cleanse the spirit of pills and xianbao. Cultivators could also use it to cleanse the marrow of the body, but it was extremely rare. Ancestral Gregon also happened to know that a spiritual item called divine primary mud would be formed in the deepest part of the ghastly water abyss after countless years of precipitation. It was a very rare treasure for cultivators who cultivated the yin and cold attribute dharma bodies. Mystery wanted to reconstruct his physical body, and divine primary mud was a supreme treasure for him to reconstruct his divine body. It can help Mystery reconstruct his divine body. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. It was an unexpected surprise. QL11, since there was such a spiritual item, Su Fang naturally could not miss it. Without hesitation, he flew out of the hidden substance. The man and woman only then discovered Su Fang's existence and were shocked. Discovering Su Fang's cultivation base in the middle stage of Tao Truth Realm, the two sighed in relief, but they still acted like they were facing a great enemy. In the heaven-forsaken desolate region, killing for treasures, and even killing for no reason or kidnapping cultivators to be sold as slaves were common occurrences. Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "Don't be alarmed. I arrived here before you and cultivated in this substance. I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your conversation, nor do I have any ill intentions." The two were still vigilant. The young man cupped his fists at Su Fang and said, "The two of us unintentionally came to this substance to rest and unintentionally disturbed you. We apologize for offending you. We will take our leave now." With that, the two were about to leave the substance. Su Fang suddenly said, "I just heard the two of you talking about finding an expert to help your Autumn Water Tribe obtain the divine primary water. I am willing to give a try." "You?" The woman's eyes lit up. The young man swept Su Fang with his divine light and said decisively, "Our tribe leader has many friends. Now that he is in trouble, it is not difficult to find an expert to help him, so there is no need to trouble you." With that, the young man swept out a divine power and flew out of the substance with the woman. "Senior brother, we were worried that we couldn't find a helper. Why don't we let this person help us?" This person suddenly appeared out of nowhere. He obviously has ulterior motives. Moreover, he is only at the middle realm of Tao Truth. How can he enter the depths of the ghastly water abyss and obtain the divine primary water? Although the two of them deliberately used their divine power to isolate their voices, it was difficult to hide from Su Fang's perfect hearing. Suddenly, with a boom, a profound yang divine power descended and enveloped the two of them. The two of them were shocked. However, under Su Fang's profound yang divine power and will pressure, they trembled and could not resist at all. They felt that they were facing a Tao Lord expert. Su Fang's figure flashed and appeared in front of the two of them, withdrawing his pressure. The man and woman were terrified. The young man said in a trembling voice, "I did not mean to offend you. Please forgive me, my lord." Su Fang said majestically, "If I wanted to harm the two of you, I could suppress you with a thought. Why would I need to use any tricks? With my ability, do you think I'm qualified to enter the ghastly water abyss and obtain the divine primary water?" The young man quickly said, "I was too suspicious. My lord, please don't be offended. My lord's ability is more than enough to enter the ghastly water abyss." But Su Fang said indifferently, "But why should I help you? I come from a sect and have come to the heaven-forsaken wilderness this time to train and obtain some divine primary water to refine the Xianbao. That's why I want to try my luck at the ghastly water abyss. So my lord is a disciple from Dongxian." The young man sized up Su Fang again. Su Fang was currently wearing the Pang tribe's flame robe, which was not something an ordinary cultivator of the heaven-forsaken wilderness could wear. In addition, the profound yang divine power that Su Fang had displayed just now came from the extreme profound yang spell. How shocking was its divine power! The young man concluded that Su Fang must have come from one of Dongxuan's super forces and no longer had any doubts. He quickly pulled the woman and knelt before Su Fang. "If my lord can lend us a hand, the Qiushui tribe will be eternally grateful. Let's go. Tell me about the divine primary water on the way." Su Fang took out the flaming cloud flying carriage and activated it. He then brought the two into the flying carriage. Seeing that Su Fang had such an extraordinary Xianbao, the two of them were amazed and envious. They no longer had any doubts about Su Fang's identity. The young man said, "My lord, my clan's grand elder, and I have come out to look for experts to help us. Let's go meet the grand elder first." Su Fang steered the flaming cloud flying carriage and sped off in the direction the two of them had pointed out. The man's name was Qiu Shui Hong, and the beautiful woman's name was Qiu Shui Qing. They both came from the Qiu Shui tribe of Driftwood Isle. There were many divine cultivation tribes in Driftwood Isle, but the Qiu Shui tribe could only be considered as a mid-tier tribe. Their patriarch was an intermediate Tao Lord cultivator. Qiu Shui Qing was the only daughter of the patriarch, while Qiu Shui Hong was adopted by the patriarch as a child and was taken in as a disciple. The divine cultivation tribes of Driftwood Isle relied on the ghastly water abyss to survive. Their main purpose was to enter the depths of the ghastly water abyss to search for the divine primary water. They would regularly hand over the divine primary water to the sects that controlled Driftwood Isle in order to receive the protection of sects. The Qiu Shui tribe occupied a decent part of the ghastly water abyss, so compared to the other divine cultivation tribes, their lives were relatively comfortable. Unexpectedly, the patriarch was injured in a battle not long ago and could not enter the depths of the ghastly water abyss to collect the divine primary water. The deadline to hand in the divine primary water was approaching, but they could not gather enough divine primary water. This meant that they would be chased out of Driftwood Isle. Therefore, the clan's grand elder led the tribe out to look for experts to help them tide over this crisis. Chapter 2672. The flaming cloud flying chariot flew out of the chaotic void and passed through a long passageway that twisted time and space, arriving at another dimension. In a vast space-time, there were countless material ruins floating. There were also many natural barriers. It looked extremely chaotic. There were also extremely weak natural spiritual chi and some power of the world, but most of it was chaotic energy. This is the heaven-forsaken barren region. Through the flaming cloud flying chariot's boundary, Su Fang saw the scene outside. Although what he saw was only the tip of the iceberg, he was still shocked and felt his blood boil. He was looking for a place to continuously digest the treasures in the six ultimate Tao, Saint's celestial body, and rapidly improve his strength before heading to the East Mysterious Pavilion to resolve his grudge with Dongxian Zheng and save his grandfather's soul. Although the heaven-forsaken barren region was dangerous, it also meant that it contained great opportunities. Only by going through repeated challenges could one rapidly improve their strength. Besides, the heaven-forsaken barren region was also a stage to become famous in Dongxian. Countless geniuses and experts had risen through life and death experiences in the heaven-forsaken barren region, becoming famous in the Eastern Divine Domain. With fame, all the major forces would come to recruit them, including supreme forces like the East Mysterious Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects. The heaven-forsaken barren region was a sacred place for cultivators to train. First, I'll get the origin deity Clay and help Shroud reconstruct his divine body. Then, I'll go deeper into the heaven-forsaken barren region and digest all kinds of resources and treasures while improving my strength. The most important thing now was to get the origin deity Clay and help Shroud reconstruct his divine body. There was no need to think about anything else for now. Boom, boom, boom. As the flaming cloud, flying chariot sped, it was constantly attacked. In the heaven-forsaken barren region, there were as many bandits as there were hairs on a cow. Many of the force's cultivators usually followed the rules, but when they saw treasures, they would turn into bandits. The flaming cloud flying chariot was so extraordinary, it would be strange if it did not attract the bandits' attacks. After killing a dozen groups of bandits, Su Fong became numb and no longer paid attention to the bandits. Instead, he drove the flaming cloud flying chariot with all his might, speeding towards the place where Qiu Shuihong and his clansmen had agreed upon. More than a decade later, they came to a huge floating ruin that was more than 10 miles wide. Lord, it's there! Qiu Shuihong reminded Su Fongda. After leaving the flying car, Su Fong sucked the flying car into the Jiushuan Dao Palace, then took out a mask with a flame imprint on it and put it on his face. His facial muscles wriggled and fused perfectly with the mask. The mask gave off a fiery aura, and Su Fong's profound yang celestial body also gave off a profound yang aura, allowing Su Fong to transform into a fire-type cultivator, making it very difficult for anyone to discover his true identity. This mask was made by Su Fong on his way here. The material came from the fire elemental Dharma body of the sixth extreme Taoist saint, and it was refined using the treasure refining pool. At the same time, it was fused with the thought of the sixth extreme Taoist saint. Even experts who surpassed the Taoist master would find it difficult to see through the mask and see Su Fong's true appearance. Seeing Su Fong wearing such a strange mask, Qiu Shuiqing asked in surprise, "Darren, what are you doing?" Su Fong said faintly, "I came to the heaven-forsaken barren region to gain experience. If my true identity is known by others, it will lose the meaning of gaining experience." Qiu Shuiqing and Qiu Shuihong agreed deeply, and were even more certain that Su Fong was a disciple of a powerful force from Dongxian. Actually, it was not rare to see cultivators wearing masks in the heaven-forsaken barren region. After all, the heaven-forsaken barren region was a place where crooks and honest folk were mixed together. Many people had fled here after being hunted down by others, and were naturally unwilling to be discovered by their enemies. There were also many young geniuses who wanted to rely on their own abilities to gain experience here, and liked to cover up their true appearances. In fact, Su Fong's purpose of covering up his appearance was not to gain experience, but to not be discovered by the three Taishang mysterious sects. In the heaven-forsaken barren region, there were also disciples from the three Taishang mysterious sects who often came here to gain experience. In addition, Su Fong suspected that the expert from the three Taishang mysterious sects who was hunting him, and Ling Xingchen, would never give up on pursuing him. They might even come to the heaven-forsaken barren region. How could he not be careful? I don't want others to know my true appearance. Do you understand? Su Fong's cold gaze swept across Qiu Shuiqing and Qiu Shuihong. The two of them felt a shocking pressure sweeping over, and felt like they were about to be turned into ashes in the next moment. They immediately trembled and hurriedly agreed. "Let's go," Su Fong nodded and said. The two of them led the way in front and flew across the sky towards the ruins. Pa! Just as they approached the ruins, a wave-like brilliance broke through the sky and turned into the figure of an elder. Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing cupped their fists and said, "Great Elder." It turned out that this elder was the thought of the Autumn Water Tribe's Great Elder. "I thought you were killed by bandits. If you don't come after a few more days, I will return to the Cold Isle." The illusory figure let out a majestic voice. Immediately after, the divine light swept across Su Fong's body, and he asked, "Who is this person?" "Great Elder, this is the expert that junior sister and I found. He agreed to enter the ghastly water abyss for our tribe and collect the primary divine water." Qiu Shuihong hurriedly explained, "What's the use of a middle Dao, truth realm cultivator? The two of you are still young. Don't be fooled by others." The illusory figure of the elder revealed a disdainful expression. Qiu Shuihong said, "Although this lord is only at the middle Dao truth realm, his strength is extraordinary. Moreover," the elder waved his hand and said, "I have already found an expert, and his origin is extraordinary. It is enough to have his help. I don't need the help of others." Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing were pleasantly surprised. Qiu Shuihong asked, "May I know where that expert came from and how strong is he?" "That person came from the ancient Blue City and is the disciple of the City Lord. His cultivation is at the Middle Dao Lord realm." "The disciple of the ancient Blue City's City Lord?" Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing revealed a shocked expression. At this moment, Ancestral Graygon suddenly spoke from Su Fong's Heavenly Law avatar. "What a coincidence. Why, Old Dragon, you know about the ancient Blue City? More than just knowing? That ancient Blue City is a force that Heavenly Sovereign Pan Tsong personally established." "Such a coincidence," Qiu Shuihong then asked the elder. "The ancient Blue City is also a force of the heaven-forsaken desolate region. If we want to invite the City Lord's disciple, our clan will have to pay quite a price, right?" The Great Elder nodded and said, "What kind of status does the disciple of the ancient Blue City Lord have? If we want to invite him, of course we will have to pay quite a price. However, it is still within an acceptable range." Qiu Shuiqing said, "What is the price?" The Great Elder's projection said embarrassedly, "That disciple of the ancient Blue City Lord not only has to take away half of the divine origin water, he will also leave a Dharma avatar to cultivate at Flowing Cold Isle. During this period, he needs a woman with a pure Yin physique from our clan to serve him." Qiu Shuihong was shocked and angry. "The only woman with a pure Yin physique in our clan is Junior Marshal's sister. Great Elder, how can you make Junior Marshal's sister a maid?" The Great Elder said coldly, "The disciple of the ancient Blue City Lord has an extraordinary status. Furthermore, he has left a Dharma avatar behind. It is also a form of deterrence to the other cultivation clans. Our clan is now in a desperate situation. Why can't our clansmen make some sacrifices?" Qiu Shuihong was furious. "Great Elder, you are deliberately harming Junior Marshal's sister in order to seize the power of the clan while the patriarch is injured. Shut up. You dare to slander me?" The projection formed by the Great Elder's thoughts waved his hand and swept out a water-typed, Taoist rhyme towards Qiu Shuihong. Su Fong snorted coldly. A mysterious young Taoist rhyme erupted and incinerated the Great Elder's thought attack. That thought was also affected and immediately turned into nothingness before finally dissipating into nothingness. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. QL 11 more than 10 figures flew out from the material. The white-haired old man in the lead was wearing a white robe with water patterns. He was the Great Elder of the Autumn Water God clan. Beside the Great Elder was a yellow-clothed youth who was only 18 or 19 years old. He had a slender and handsome face, and his cultivation had reached the middle stage of Dao Lord. His strength was indeed extraordinary. He should be the disciple of the ancient Blue City Lord. Su Fongda's perfect vision sized up this person and his deep eyes revealed a look of surprise. Why? Su Fong did not put a mere middle stage of Tao truth in his eyes. Naturally, he would not be surprised. Instead, this person's aura contained an aura that Su Fong was extremely familiar with. It was the nine-yang aura that Su Fong could not be more familiar with. Could it be that this person also cultivated the nine transformations? It seems different. Although his nine-yang aura is quite extraordinary, it is different from the nine transformations that I cultivated in the past. It is far from being as pure and abundant as my nine-yang power. Su Fong was shocked and stunned. However, after thinking about it carefully, there was nothing strange about it. The ancient Blue City Lord must be the disciple of the heavenly, sovereign Pan Song. In order to nurture a body that could be possessed by him, Pan Song had many disciples cultivate the nine transformations back then. However, no one succeeded. However, the nine transformations was indeed extraordinary. The ancient Blue City Lord would definitely not give up. After some changes, it was not strange for him to be able to let the cultivators of the Jiuquan God realm cultivate it and then pass it on to his disciples. Strictly speaking, this person could be considered the successor of the heavenly sovereign. The ancient Blue City Lord's disciple stared straight at Qiu Shuiqing, his face full of joy. Not bad. It is indeed a pure Yin body. If you dual cultivate with my pure Yang celestial body, it will bring unexpected benefits to both of us. The great elder's eyes were like ice as he coldly looked at Su Fong. Brat, no matter where you came from, I advise you not to interfere with the matters of the Autumn Water God clan. Furthermore, it is the matters of the ancient Blue City Lord's disciple, Yang Shengtian. You should obediently scram back to where you came from. Su Fong's eyebrows raised. Just as he was about to speak, Qiu Shuiqing looked at the great elder and said in a clear and certain voice, Great elder, I have no complaints about sacrificing myself for the Autumn Water God clan. However, I will definitely not make unnecessary sacrifices. The first elder coldly said, If you don't agree, then young noble Yang Xingtian won't help our tribe. As a result, we won't be able to call out enough divine water and will be chased out of Flowing Cold Isle. Could it be that you want to watch all of your clan members die tragically? Qiu Shuiqing said, The Lord that Senior and I have invited can definitely help my clan tide over this crisis. Him? A mere true Tao realm cultivator? Chapter 2673. It was no wonder that Yang Xingtian was so arrogant and looked down on Su Fong. Su Fong was only at the middle stage of Tao truth, and there were plenty of them in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Su Fong's Jiuquan Tao Palace and his 4 physical bodies were all concealed by Shixian Daozu. Even Heartbreaker Granny would not be able to see anything, let alone a mere Tao lord like Yang Shengtian. In the eastern profound divine region, perhaps only the supreme Dongxian Daozu could see Su Fong's Jiuquan Tao Palace. In addition, Yang Xingtian was a middle-stage Tao lord and had an extraordinary status. Naturally, he would not take Su Fong, a mere Tao true realm cultivator, seriously. The corners of Grand Elder Qiu Shui's mouth curled up into a cold smile, and then she said earnestly to Qiu Shuiqing, Patriarch is heavily injured, and I don't want you to sacrifice yourself. However, this concerns the fate of my clan. Then she put on a righteous look and said, Fine, I'll give you a chance. Let the big shot you invited compete with young Master Yang Xingtian. If he can defeat young Master Yang Xingtian, you won't have to sacrifice anything. If he loses, it's not up to you to decide. Qiu Shuihong shouted, Junior sister, you can't agree. Qiu Shuihong had feelings for Qiu Shuiqing, and clan leader Qiu Shui had already acquiesced to the two. How could he watch his beloved woman be used as a wager? What if she lost? Although he knew that Su Fong was not an ordinary Tao true realm cultivator, he was not confident that Su Fong could defeat Yang Xingtian. He did not even have a glimmer of hope. Qiu Shuiqing looked at Su Fong for help. However, Su Fong was wearing a mask, and his expression could not be seen. His eyes were also as calm as an ancient well. She could not get any information from him. Qiu Shuiqing hesitated for a while and said with gritted teeth, "Fine, it's a deal." Yang Shengtian laughed complacently. "Just wait to become my woman. And you, kid, don't die in the gloom water abyss." Su Fong frowned under his mask. Originally, he was planning to ask Yang Xingtian about the ancient Blue City. He never thought that this person would be such an arrogant person, so he completely dispelled the idea. In order to show off, Yang Xingtian took out a fan-like xianbao. After activating it, it became 10 feet long and floated in the air. The feather fan was actually a flying xianbao. Its quality had reached the middle grade, and it was extremely rare. When the cultivators of the Autumn Water God clan saw it, they all revealed looks of envy. "Your speed is too slow. By the time you reach Frigid Island, you will have already missed the deadline to hand over the primary spirit water. Let me bring you along." Yang Xingtian felt the gazes of the crowd and enjoyed it. He said proudly, "Many thanks, young Master Yang." Great Elder Qiu Shui led the dozen or so clansmen and flew onto the feather fan. They were all very excited. Seeing that Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing had no intention of moving, Great Elder Qiu Shui coldly shouted, "To be able to ride such an extraordinary xianbao is a rare experience in your life. What are you hesitating for?" Qiu Shuiqing and Qiu Shuihong looked at Su Fong at the same time. Su Fong originally did not want to show off, but now he could only take out the flaming cloud flying carriage. High-grade xianbao, and it's a very rare xianbao. Although the heaven-forsaken desolate region was rich in spiritual items that were rare in the eastern profound divine realm, there were very few truly rich cultivators. A high-grade xianbao, like the flaming cloud flying carriage for flight, was even rarer. The cultivators of the Autumn Water God clan all stared with their eyes wide open. Yang Xingtian was surprised, and his eyes were filled with greed and possessiveness as he looked at the flaming cloud flying carriage. His gaze towards Su Fong was also faintly filled with killing intent. It was obvious that he had the intention to kill and seize the treasure. Su Fong took Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing and urged the flaming cloud flying carriage. The wheels rolled and flames surged. In a flash, they flew hundreds of thousands of miles away. Yang Xingtian urged the feather fan with all his strength and followed behind. Soon, even the shadow of the flaming cloud flying carriage could not be seen. What qualifications does a mere Dao True Realm cultivator have to possess such an extraordinary xianbao? Yang Xingtian's heart was filled with greed. At the same time, his killing intent towards Su Fong became even stronger. With the flaming cloud flying carriage's speed, it took them more than 30 years to reach the Luhan Island. The space-time of the Luhan Island was very strange. Its periphery was shrouded by a vast and strange cold air current, forming a huge backflow. In the center of the backflow, there was a material about 10,000 miles in area floating. Su Fong drove the flaming cloud flying carriage, breaking through the shackles of the surrounding cold air current, and arrived above the material. The power of the Great Perfection stage swept past the material. The material emitted an incomparably cold aura. Su Fong had the Xianyang Dharma body, but he still felt a burst of cold aura and could not help but shiver. There were also mountains and forests in the material. Most of them were lakes and ponds of different sizes. They looked like mirrors embedded in the material. The water in the lakes and ponds was extraordinary. It was dark and faintly emitted an incomparably strange and cold aura. QL11 around the lakes and ponds, there were cultivator forces stationed. The largest force had more than 100,000 cultivators guarding around the largest lake. There was also a Dao Lord in the force. Around those pools, there were a few forces that were relatively small in number. Su Fong understood. In the depths of the material, there was hidden water of extreme and extreme coldness. It seeped from the ground and formed these lakes and ponds. The origin holy water was also collected from these lakes and ponds, which was why it was occupied by many forces. Su Fong also sensed that there were a large number of mortals living in the material. There were also many mortals whose aura was completely different from other mortals and cultivators. They obviously had the aura of life from a low-level universe. Moreover, these mortals had very low statuses and were far inferior to other mortals. They were like slaves. Su Fong asked Qiu Shuihong, "Where did these mortals come from?" Qiu Shuihong answered respectfully, "Many cultivators from low-level universes fled to the heaven-forsaken desolation region because they could not survive in the eastern profound divine domain. After generations of reproduction, they left behind many descendants. These people's cultivation talent is far inferior to the mortals of the Jiuquan divine domain. Their status is also the lowest. They are called the heaven-forsaken slave race. The heaven-forsaken desolation region got its name from this." Although Qiu Shuihong's tone was respectful in front of Su Fong, when he mentioned the mortals, there was unconcealable contempt in his tone. It was as if he was talking about a herd of pigs and sheep. Heaven-forsaken slave race, Su Fong's heart twitched. His entire body was cold. If he did not have enough strength, all the cultivators in the heavenly path Dharma body and his future descendants would be like those mortals. They would live at the lowest level of the Jiuquan divine domain and be called the heaven-forsaken slave race. Strength. Without great strength, not only will I be bullied, even my descendants will become slaves of others. I will never allow such a thing to happen to me. Su Fong's heart was filled with determination. The thought of becoming stronger became even more resolute in his heart. After passing through the mountains, they arrived at the Autumn Water God clan. The Autumn Water God clan was considered a mid-tier force in Driftwood Isle. They occupied a quiet pond that was hundreds of meters wide. Do not underestimate this small, quiet pond. It was all thanks to it that almost 10,000 of the Autumn Water God clan members survived. However, this quiet pond did not belong to the Autumn Water God clan. All the lakes and ponds on Driftwood all belonged to the largest force, the Gloomwater sect. Not only did the Gloomwater sect occupy the largest lake, the other cultivation forces had a hand over 70% of their divine origin water every 1,000 years if they wanted to gain a foothold on Driftwood Isle. If they could not hand it over within the set time, they would have to piss off from Driftwood Isle. The divine origin water was located in the depths of the lakes and ponds. It had condensed over time and was extremely difficult to harvest. The slightest carelessness could lead to one freezing to death in the Gloomwater Abyss. Only Dao Lords were able to enter Darkwater Abyss through the watery holes beneath the lakes and ponds. Whether or not one was able to harvest primordial divine water depended on one's luck. As the patriarch of the Autumn Water God clan was injured, they could not enter the Gloomwater Abyss. The others did not have the strength either. Right now, they faced the predicament of being chased out of Driftwood Isle. When they heard that Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing had invited experts, all the Autumn Water God clansmen cheered. However, when they learned that Su Fong was only at the middle stage of Tao Truth, none of them avoided Su Fong at all. They were greatly disappointed, as if their hopes had been dashed. Su Fong smiled faintly and settled down in a courtyard that Qiu Shuihong had arranged for him. Only 3 months later did the Grand Elder, Yang Shengtian, and the others arrive at the Autumn Water God clan. Knowing that Su Fong had arrived long ago, Yang Shengtian was naturally extremely furious. He wanted to possess Su Fong's flame cloud chariot even more. After learning of Yang Shengtian's identity and strength, the entire Autumn Water God clan was overjoyed. They believed that their savior had arrived, so they treated Yang Shengtian as an esteemed guest. Even the heavily injured patriarch came out to meet Yang Shengtian. He even personally promised that as long as Yang Shengtian could help the Autumn Water God clan survive, he would agree to all of Yang Shengtian's conditions. Reality was just so cruel. For the entire Autumn Water God clan, the patriarch was even willing to sell out his own daughter. The next day, Qiu Shuihong came to visit Su Fong. Seeing his angry yet hesitant look, Su Fong said faintly, "Is the Autumn Water God clan planning to chase me away?" Qiu Shuihong hurriedly replied, How would I dare? It's Yang Xingtian. He wants to stay where you are now. Su Fang was startled, then smiled faintly. It's fine. If he wants to stay, let him stay. Qiu Shuihong did not expect Su Fang to agree so readily. He was also afraid of angering Su Fang, so he hurriedly brought Su Fang to his residence. As soon as Su Fang moved out, Yang Shengtian moved into the courtyard triumphantly. Su Fang stayed in the Autumn Water God clan and did not come out. Other than Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing, no one else came to see him. After 3 years, everything was ready. It was time to enter the Gloomwater Abyss. Chapter 2674. The expert of the Gloomwater sect was a skinny, middle-aged man. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with bone-chilling coldness. His presence also possessed a baleful aura. His cultivation was rather impressive, having reached the level of an upper Dowlord. The Gloomwater sect was the heavens of the entire Frigid Flow Isle. The Grand Elder of the Qiushui clan bowed before him like a servant. Even the heavily injured patriarch had come to greet him. Even Yang Xingtian, whose eyes grew on his forehead, was extremely respectful towards this person. As soon as Su Fang entered the discussion hall, the middle-aged man's cold gaze immediately shot over. He studied Su Fang. In the end, he looked at Su Fang's mask, and his gaze suddenly sharpened. A cold presence surged towards Su Fang. It actually wanted to penetrate Su Fang's mask and see Su Fang's true appearance. Sizzle. Powerful will and fire element presence of ways surged out from Su Fang's mask, instantly incinerating the middle-aged man's senses of the soul. Su Fang's mask had fused with the thoughts of the fire element avatar of the 6 extreme Daos. Just how shocking was the will and presence of ways within it. The expert of the Gloomwater sect originally planned on intimidating Su Fang, but he ended up suffering quite the loss instead. The expert of the Gloomwater sect grunted, and his face immediately paled. Immediately, he became both surprised and furious. He bellowed out coldly, "Take off your mask and reveal your true appearance." Su Fang raised an eyebrow. He looked at the Grand Elder of the Qiushui clan. "What's the meaning of this?" The Grand Elder sneered. "Sir Han of the Gloomwater sect has come this time under the sect master's orders to help the 3 supreme profound sects search for fugitives. No matter what your origins are, you can't be greater than the 3 supreme profound sects, right? Take off your mask obediently and let Sir Han inspect you." The 3 supreme profound sects are searching for fugitives? Su Fang was stunned, and then he understood. He was almost certain that the person the 3 supreme profound sects were searching for was Su Fang. The expert of the 3 supreme profound sects and Ling Xingchen really haven't given up. They've actually chased me all the way to the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Su Fang's heart surged with a fierce aura. Then, with a wave of his hand, the mask fell off his face, revealing his true appearance. That's right, it was his true appearance. Changing one's facial muscles and bones to change one's appearance was simply impossible to hide from a cultivator's senses. However, Su Fang's true appearance appeared completely different in the eyes of the others. It was no longer Su Fang's original appearance. Instead, it was an extraordinarily handsome face. It turned out that Su Fang had secretly used the Yang refining profound transformation technique to cover his face with the power of the flaming dream illusory cloud. Now that Su Fang had advanced to the Middle Daojian realm, his cultivation base and strength had increased by several times. His understanding of the extreme Dao mystic Yang art had also deepened. His ability to create illusions had also become even more astonishing, allowing him to easily deceive Dao lords. The expert of the Gloomwater sect extended his hand and pulled out a figure. It was Su Fang's mental image. It was extremely lifelike. After comparing it carefully, the middle-aged man of the Gloomwater sect snorted coldly and rolled up the image with a wave of his hand. Afterwards, he said to the patriarch of the Autumn Water clan, "That person is a major criminal that the 3 supreme profound sects want to capture. If you discover any traces of him, immediately report it to the Gloomwater sect. There will definitely be great rewards then. If you don't report it, With that, the middle-aged man swaggered off. Everyone's attention was focused on the expert of the Gloomwater sect. No one noticed that Xiao Shuihong and Xiao Shuiqing, who stood behind him, looked at Su Fong in shock and disbelief. They had seen Su Fong's true appearance before, so how could they not recognize Su Fong? They had never thought that Su Fong was actually a fugitive being pursued by the three supreme profound sects. Su Fong's ability to change his appearance could even deceive a Dao lord of the Gloomwater sect, which shocked the two of them. If you don't want the Autumn Water Clan to be wiped out, it's best if you give up on those unrealistic thoughts and keep everything you know to your grave. Su Fong's voice that was filled with killing intent suddenly rang out in Xiao Shuihong and Xiao Shuiqing's heads. Both of their souls trembled. They felt as if they would be easily killed by Su Fong in the next moment. Originally, they still had some strange thoughts, but they instantly disappeared. What kind of existence were the three supreme profound sects? Although the three supreme profound sects still controlled the heaven-forsaken desolate region, who did not know about the super organizations that had infiltrated and dominated the eastern profound divine domain. The fact that Su Fong could be hunted down by the three supreme profound sects was enough to prove his strength. He was definitely not what he seemed on the surface. So how could the Autumn Water Clan offend him? I'll be troubling you now, young Master Yang. The patriarch of the Autumn Water Clan clasped his fist towards Yang Shengtian. However, he did not care about Su Fong at all. Since I am personally taking action, it is naturally a sure thing. However, since the Autumn Water God Clan has agreed to my conditions, you better not go back on your words. Yang Shengtian spoke proudly. Divine light swept over Qiao Shuiqing's body, and his eyes were burning with passion. The upper echelons of the Autumn Water God Clan clustered around Yang Shengtian and arrived at the side of the serene water pool. Su Fong only had Xiao Shuihong and Xiao Shuiqing by his side. It seemed very cold and cheerless. Entering the serene water pool to collect the primary divine water was a huge matter that concerned the survival of the Autumn Water God Clan. All the clansmen of the Autumn Water God Clan turned out in full force and surrounded the serene water pool. Yang Xingtian became the focus of everyone's attention. He was like a moon surrounded by stars and was in high spirits. The Autumn Water God Clan's Grand Elder spoke to Su Fong coldly. Entering the serene water pool is not child's play. If you're not careful, you might lose your life. It is not too late for you to back out now. Before Su Fong could speak, Yang Dingtian spoke to Su Fong in a domineering manner. It is too late to back out now. You'll have to see if I agree or not. Su Fong revealed a sneer under his mask and said indifferently, "What do you want? If you retreat in the face of difficulties now, then I won't make it too difficult for you. You only have to hand over that flying chariot dark treasure of yours, then kneel and kowtow to me, and I won't make a fuss about it with you." Su Fong sneered disdainfully. "So you have your eyes on my treasure? You want my treasure? I am afraid you do not have the ability to take it." Yang Dingtian snorted. "You don't know the difference between life and death. Then, let's compete in the serene water pool and see who can collect more primary divine water." "My lord, the serene water pool is extremely dangerous. Do not be careless and fall into Yang Xingtian's trap." At this time, Qiao Shuiqing secretly transmitted his thoughts to Su Fong. He seemed to be quite anxious. Su Fong responded, "I am not worried about the dangers in the serene water pool. Don't worry." Yu Yu's voice echoed from Su Fong's Heaven Law avatar. "Kid, I didn't expect you to still be concerned about my matters. I will not thank you for your kindness." Su Fong transmitted his thoughts. "Senior Yu Yu, you have saved me and the Holy Maiden. Furthermore, you lost your physical body because of my senior sister. Naturally, I have to do everything I can to reconstruct my physical body. What's more, this trip to the depths of the serene water pool to collect the primary divine mud is just a piece of cake for me. It is not worth mentioning. Kid, let's go. See how I'm going to teach you a lesson." Yang Shengtian laughed wildly while his body ignited with astonishing flames. It was the 9 Yang true flames. The blazing divine prowess swept away the chilling aura around the serene water pool. Immediately after, Yang Xingtian rushed towards the surface of the water. The divine prowess caused the serene water pool to tumble and open up a passageway while he rushed into the passageway. Such astonishing divine prowess caused the autumn water god race to cheer. When the serene water pool regained its calmness, Su Fong slowly entered the water. He looked calm and incomparable to Yang Shengtian's prowess. The autumn water god race's grand elder scoffed. Some of the autumn water god race's higher-ups who had sided with the grand elder also mocked and ridiculed. As for Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing, their expressions turned extremely ugly. The moment Su Fong entered the pool, an astonishing chilling aura assaulted him from all directions along with the water pressure. It was as if his entire body was about to be frozen stiff. If a mortal came into contact with the serene water, they would instantly be frozen to death. Even if it was a true Dao cultivator, if they did not have powerful Abhijna or Xianbao, their physical body, soul, and mana would quickly be frozen and sink into the serene water pool. In the end, they would not be able to escape death. How could Su Fong be an ordinary true Dao cultivator? Other than the Xianyang celestial body and the extreme Xianyang technique from Daozu of Shixian, he also had the 6 extreme Dao saint celestial bodies. How could mere serene water do anything to him? After merging the Xianyang celestial body with his physical body, a Xianyang divine prowess protected his body and resisted the invasion of the chilling aura. However, he allowed his body to continuously sink into the depths of the pool. 100 feet, 500 feet, 100 feet. When he sank to 150 feet, Su Fong caught up with Yang Xingtian. Yang Xingtian's cultivation technique was indeed extraordinary. He also cultivated a pure Yang celestial body. He still appeared very calm when he went deep into the serene water. However, he no longer dared to be as reckless as when he first entered the water. Sensing the movement above, Yang Xingtian discovered Su Fong's arrival. He revealed a disdainful sneer and suddenly accelerated his descent. I didn't expect that the successor of Heavenly Sovereign Pansong would be a clown. Su Fong smiled bitterly. He did not quite understand how an arrogant person like Yang Xingtian could survive in such a harsh environment like the heaven-forsaken desolate region. He continued to sink until he was 500 feet deep in the serene water. This was the deepest part of the serene water pool, controlled by the Autumn Water God clan. There was a 10 feet wide whirlpool. It was dark and looked like a black hole that could devour everything. It was the water I had to enter the serene water pool. QL11 Yang Xingtian had already reached the deepest part of the serene water pool. He activated a bell-like Xianbao and released a fiery barrier to block the shocking shackles and chilling aura in the depths of the serene water. He sat cross-legged inside the barrier and swallowed elixirs to recover. Seeing Su Fong slowly approaching, Yang Xingtian was very surprised. He did not expect that Su Fong could reach the depths of the serene water pool so calmly with his cultivation of the middle realm of Tao truth. Su Fong did not even look at Yang Shengtian. He followed the flow of the water and was sucked into the water eye. This person must have a treasure that can resist the chilling aura and shackles of the serene water. He also has the flying Xianbao. The depths of the serene water are suitable for killing and seizing the treasure. Chapter 2675. Whoosh, Yang Shengtian chased after him. He passed through the whirlpool and came to the deep and dark, ghastly abyss. QL11 in the ghastly abyss, a spiritual item formed from the essence of water, was born. It was the primordial divine water. The ghastly abyss ran through the entire interior of Luhan Island. The water was bone-chilling and could even freeze the thoughts of Dao Lords. It was very difficult for ordinary cultivators to enter the depths of the ghastly abyss. Even Dao Lords could not stay in a ghastly abyss for a long time. And that kid is gone. Yang Xingtian was surprised that he could not see Su Fong in the depths of the ghastly abyss. Did that kid go deeper into the ghastly abyss? Yang Xingtian was in disbelief. Soon after, he flatly denied this conjecture. Even I was barely able to reach the depths of the ghastly abyss. Even if that kid possesses an extraordinary profound treasure, it's impossible for him to reach the depths of the ghastly abyss. There's only one possibility. After that kid entered the water, he froze to death. Yang Xingtian found what he thought was the most reasonable judgment. He immediately regretted and was in a dilemma. If I had known this would happen, I would have suppressed that kid the moment I entered the ghastly abyss and robbed him of his treasures. It was too late for regrets now. Yang Xingtian could only hurry to find the primordial divine water and leave the ghastly abyss as soon as possible. Otherwise, with his strength, even if he had a pure yang celestial body, it would be difficult for him to stay in the ghastly abyss for a long time. Yang Xingtian would never have expected that Su Fang was constantly diving into the depths of the ghastly abyss. As he went deeper, the terrifying pressure, shackles, and the cold aura that could freeze souls and celestial bodies put Su Fang under great pressure. In the end, even the Xianyang celestial body could not bear it. Su Fang had to integrate the thoughts of the 6 extreme paths, sacred fire celestial body, to release supreme magic power and Taoist rhymes to form a defense around him to resist the cold aura's continuous invasion. At the same time, Su Fang also activated the Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda. Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda unleashed his innate divine might and unleashed the power of water. The terrifying pressure and shackles vanished without a trace. He was like a fish swimming in the depths of the gloomy water abyss. The Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda was a natal magical treasure that had accompanied Su Fang since he was in a small world. Over the years, it had absorbed the 6 spiritual items from the internal space of the 6 extreme Tao Saint Dharma bodies. In addition, Su Fang had been constantly reforming the formations inside the magical treasure. As a result, the Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda had finally broken through the limit of the magical treasures in the Pansong universe and became a Xianbao. Su Fang had not yet had the time to cultivate the Xianhuang Dharmakaya. He did not expect that Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda would come in handy in the depths of the gloomy water abyss. Whoosh, the pitch-black spirit water flowed around him, and Su Fang continued to sink in the endless darkness. From time to time, he could see balls of crystal-clear bubbles in the darkness. Inside the bubbles, there was a black liquid that looked like mercury. It kept surging. It was the primordial heavenly water. My main purpose in entering the gloomy water abyss this time is the primordial heavenly soil. The primordial heavenly water is just a side trip. Before I find the primordial heavenly soil, there's no need to waste my energy on the primordial heavenly water. Su Fang didn't care about the primary origin holy water. He only collected the bubbles when they were within the range of his divine might. The deeper he went into the gloomy water abyss, where very few cultivators could reach, the more primordial heavenly water there was. The quality was also higher than the water near the water eye. Although Su Fang collected it casually, the quantity was still considerable. After an unknown period of time, poof, Su Fang finally sank to a solid surface and came to the deepest part of the gloomy water abyss. The bottom of the gloomy water abyss was not flat. There were also undulating mountain ranges, gullies, and abysses. At the bottom of the water, there was a layer of black sludge. It was the primordial heavenly soil. However, it was not pure primordial heavenly soil. It needed to be refined to remove the impurities in it. Only then could it be used as a material to reconstruct Ghost's divine body. Su Fang activated the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The pagoda door opened and a suction force burst out, sucking the primordial heavenly soil on the ground into the pagoda's space. It's about time. I can't stay any longer. Otherwise, it will be dangerous. By the time he felt that he could no longer stay in the gloomy water abyss, all the primordial heavenly soil within a radius of 100 miles had been swept away. However, most of it was impurities. Su Fang estimated that he could only extract about 50 kilograms of it at most. It should be more than enough for Ghost to reconstruct her body. Although Su Fang wanted to collect more primordial heavenly soil, he still kept a cool head. It was not worth it to lose his life for treasures. It was difficult to distinguish the direction in the darkness. Fortunately, Su Fong left a secret mark along the way. He did not have to worry about getting lost in the gloomy water abyss. Whoosh, going up was 10 times faster than going down, and it was much easier as well. As long as he came across primordial heavenly soil, Su Fong collected it all without holding back. The primordial heavenly soil was good stuff. It could be used for refining pills and treasures, so the more the better. After leaving, Su Fong would only give a small portion to the Autumn Water Clan at most. It would be enough for them to hand it over to the Gloomy Water Sect. Just as Su Fong returned and collected the primordial heavenly soil, Yang Shengtian had already returned from the water eye. He charged out of the pool very quickly. Splash, Yang Shengtian burst out of the water and staggered, almost falling back into the pool. Yang Shengtian was truly extraordinary. He had cultivated a pure Yang avatar, so he could reach the depths of the pool and stay there for far longer than the patriarch of the Autumn Water Clan. However, he was already at the end of his rope. Fortunately, the Grand Elder of the Autumn Water Clan acted in time, using a divine might to sweep him up and send him to the shore. Otherwise, he would have fallen back into the pool, which would have been horrible. Yang Shengtian immediately sat down and devoured pills to recover, expelling the cold aura that had seeped into his body and avatar. Half a day later, Yang Shengtian suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of cold essence blood. When it landed on the ground, it immediately condensed into a layer of ice, covering an area of several hundred meters. Yang Shengtian finally recovered some of his vitality. He snorted, "What a powerful, gloomy water abyss. I almost died in there. Young Master Yang has made such a great sacrifice for my Autumn Water Clan. I thank young Master Yang on behalf of the Autumn Water Clan for your kindness." The Autumn Water God Clan's Grand Elder revealed a grateful expression. Afterwards, he asked carefully, "May I ask if young Master Yang has collected primordial heavenly soil? How can I return empty-handed?" "Don't worry, it's enough for your Autumn Water Clan to hand over to the Gloomy Water Sect." Yang Shengtian was complacent. The Grand Elder was immediately overjoyed. The other clansmen cheered as well. Yang Shengtian glanced around and did not see Su Fong. Yang Shengtian sneered. "Arrogant fool who overestimates himself. He actually died in the gloomy water abyss." "Served him right." The Grand Elder smiled obsequiously. "That kid overestimated himself. He asked for his death in the gloomy water abyss. He can't blame anyone else." Yang Shengtian said regretfully, "It's just a pity about his treasures." Afterwards, he looked at Qiu Shuiqing. Yang Shengtian's eyes burned with desire. He said domineeringly, "Bring that woman to my residence. I need to cultivate both yin and yang to recover what I expended in the gloomy water abyss." Qiu Shuiqing's face turned ghastly pale in an instant, and his heart sank into endless despair. Qiu Shuihong trembled, but he did not have the courage to stand out. The various upper echelon and clansmen of the Autumn Water Clan looked at Qiu Shuiqing indifferently. As long as they could survive, why would they worry about the lives of others? The Grand Elder stroked his white beard and called out, "Qiu Shuiqing, why don't you return with young Master Yang?" Qiu Shuiqing's body trembled. He was unwilling to move. Yang Shengtian said coldly, "Why? Do you feel wronged serving me? In the ancient Blue City, I don't know how many young girls threw themselves at me, but I might not even take a fancy to them. Yet, you're still making excuses. You don't know how to appreciate favors." Just as he finished speaking, suddenly a water column shot up into the sky from the gloomy water abyss. Su Fong's figure rushed out of the ice-cold, gloomy water along with the water column. Then, in a flash, he came to the shore. Yang Shengtian was surprised and shocked. Soon after, he was overjoyed. This kid didn't die. That's great. Su Fong didn't die. This meant that his Xian Bao would belong to him. How could he not be surprised? Everyone in the Autumn Water Clan was shocked. They found it hard to believe that Su Fong could stay in the gloomy water abyss for so long. He looked even more energetic than Yang Shengtian. Qiu Shuihong, and Qiu Shuiqing rekindled their hope. Qiu Shuiqing flew to Su Fang's side and asked nervously, "My lord, have you collected the primary spirit water?" Su Fang nodded. "I managed to collect some." Yang Shengtian sneered. "Kid, take out the primary spirit water you collected. I suspect that you didn't enter the gloomy water abyss at all." Su Fang said casually, "So what?" Yang Shengtian secretly transmitted his thoughts to the Autumn Water Clan's Great Elder. The Great Elder didn't know what promise Yang Shengtian had made. He said coldly to Su Fang, "Although my Autumn Water Clan isn't a big force, we can't be deceived by anyone. I suspect that you have other motives for sneaking into my clan." Swish, swish, swish. More than a dozen Autumn Water Clan's higher-ups immediately surrounded Su Fang. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Su Fang chuckled and said, "If I collect more primordial divine water than Yang Shengtian, what do you have to say? You can surpass me? What a joke." Yang Shengtian sneered disdainfully. He waved his hand and rolled out more than 50 bubbles, which contained the primary spirit water. Within the Autumn Water God clan, waves of exclamations and exclamations immediately rang out. In the past, when the Autumn Water Clan's patriarch sneaked into the gloomy water abyss, the best harvest was about 30 balls of primary spirit water. The quality was not as good as what Yang Shengtian had taken out. It was really amazing that Yang Shengtian could obtain so much primary spirit water this time. It was no wonder that people were so shocked. Yang Shengtian looked at Su Fang and said domineeringly, "If you collected more primary spirit water than me, I will apologize to you. If you can't even take out a ball of primary spirit water. Obediently take out your treasures, and I will spare your life." Chapter 2676. If you lose, you'll just have to apologize and lose a single strand of hair. If I lose, I'll have to take out all my treasures. Hee, how overbearing. Looking at Yang Shengtian, who was baring his ferocious fangs, Su Fang could not help but sneer. He finally understood what kind of rules the heaven-forsaken desolate region followed. What is young Master Yang Shengtian's status? And what is your status? If you can't take out the primary spirit water, then it's not as simple as being overbearing. The Autumn Water God clan's Great Elder said coldly. He did not know what benefits Yang Shengtian had promised him. At this moment, he was like a ferocious beast with Yang Shengtian. The Autumn Water God clan's upper echelons surrounded Su Fang like a pack of hungry wolves surrounding a lamb. They all sneered. "I don't know where this idiot came from. He doesn't even understand the principle of not showing off his wealth. His strength is not good, but he still took out an extraordinary Xian Bao. Isn't he courting death? What is reason in the heaven-forsaken desolate region? So what if we kill you without any reason? It seems that I have no choice but to take out the primary spirit water. I like to see how greedy you are." Su Fang laughed and waved his hand. Swoosh, swoosh. A total of 60 water bubbles, which were 60 balls of primary spirit water, floated in front of him. The entire Autumn Water God clan, which had nearly 10,000 people, fell into a dead silence. Everyone, including Yang Shengtian, turned into ice sculptures. A moment later, Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing looked at Su Fang with ecstasy in their eyes. QL11, the Autumn Water God clan's Great Elder, licked his dry lips and asked in a trembling voice, "Did you collect all of this primary spirit water?" Su Fang asked back, "Where does Great Elder think I got the primary spirit water?" Yang Shengtian shouted domineeringly, "Just 60 balls of primary spirit water, so what? It's far from enough to surpass me." Swoosh, swoosh. Yang Shengtian took out a Xian Guang from his palm. Inside the Xian Guang, there were more than 50 of them. He had actually hidden something. This time, he had collected more than 100 primordial holy water in the gloom water abyss. It was really incredible. Over 100? Is that a lot? Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. With a wave of his hand, more than 100 primordial spirit water appeared beside him. Altogether, there was a total of 200 primordial spirit water. Hiss, hiss. The sounds of people sucking in cold breaths gathered together, like a wave of uproar. Swish, swish. The Grand Elder of the Autumn Water Celestial Clan and the upper echelons looked at the primordial holy water beside Su Fong. Their eyes shone with endless shock and greed. Yang Shengtian stared blankly as his face burned. He braced himself and said, "You were just lucky. Just good luck?" Su Fong sneered and waved his hand again. Swish, swish. What did it mean to have more than 500 primordial holy water? Every 10,000 years, the clan leader of the Autumn Water Celestial Clan would go deep into the Gloomwater abyss. Each time, he could only collect about 20 primordial holy water. Su Fong had collected more than 500 primordial holy water. How shocking was that? If we can get so much primordial holy water, our clan won't have to worry about it for at least hundreds of thousands of years. The Grand Elder of the Autumn Water Celestial Clan looked at the balls of bubbles, and his eyes became incomparably hale and hearty. Yang Xingtian sized up Su Fong again and confirmed that Su Fong was indeed at the middle realm of Tao Truth. Furthermore, his aura was clearly not that of a cultivator from the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Therefore, ruthlessness surged in Yang Shengtian's heart. This brat can only go deep into the Gloomwater abyss with the help of the Xian Bao. It is impossible for him to rely on his own strength. For this person to have such an extraordinary Xian Bao, his background must be extraordinary. This is the heaven-forsaken desolate region. So what if he is a genius from the eastern profound heavenly pavilion? With this thought, Yang Xingtian cupped his fist at Su Fong and said, "You have won. I apologize to you." The Grand Elder of the Autumn Water Celestial Clan stroked his beard and said to Su Fong with a smile, "Thank you for collecting so much primordial holy water for the Autumn Water Celestial Clan. If you hand it all to me, the Autumn Water Celestial Clan will definitely reward you handsomely." Su Fong raised his eyebrows. "Hand it all to the Autumn Water Celestial Clan? According to our previous agreement, half of the primordial holy water I collect will belong to me." The Grand Elder's face instantly darkened. "You collected so much primordial holy water at once. The Autumn Water Celestial Clan will not be able to collect primordial holy water for hundreds of thousands of years. How can we let you take it all away? At most, we will give you some compensation." After saying that, he waved his hand and swept out a divine might, sucking all the primordial holy water around Su Fong into his palm. Su Fong looked on coldly and had no intention of making a move. Yang Xingtian was originally a little afraid of Su Fong. After all, Su Fong had such a powerful Xian Bao, like the flaming cloud flying carriage. His background must be extraordinary. Now, he was like a pig or a sheep being slaughtered by the Grand Elder. Yang Xingtian no longer had any fear. He looked at Su Fong and smiled. "I like your flying carriage Xian Bao very much. I am willing to exchange it with 100 mid-grade elixirs. You won't refuse such a fair deal, right?" Su Fong chuckled. 100 mid-grade elixirs in exchange for a high-grade Xian Bao. Young Master Yang is really fair. It seems that I have no choice but to make the deal. After saying that, Su Fong took out the flaming cloud flying carriage and threw it to Yang Shengtian. He didn't expect Su Fong to take out the Xian Bao so readily. This surprised Yang Shengtian. Then, he became more and more convinced that Su Fong was a pushover. When the upper echelons of the Autumn Water God clan saw this, they were all envious. They looked at Su Fong as if they were looking at a fat sheep. "My lord," Qiu Shuiqing was about to remind him, but he was quickly stopped by Qiu Shuihong. Yang Shengtian said again, "Since you were so straightforward, why don't you take out all the other treasures on you and trade with me? I have a lot of treasures in my hands. I'm just afraid that young Master Yang doesn't have enough elixirs." Su Fong smiled and waved his hand to take out hundreds of Xian Bao. They were all plundered by Su Fong after killing experts. The quality was extraordinary. They were at least mid-grade Xian Bao. Yang Shengtian and the people of the Autumn Water God clan were all dumbfounded. In the next moment, they were like hungry wolves that saw fat meat. Their eyes lit up. Yang Shengtian swallowed his saliva and sent a thought to the Autumn Water God clan's Grand Elder. "Attack together and kill this person. Not only will I guarantee you the position of Autumn Water God clan's patriarch, I will also give you half of these treasures. The Grand Elder began to hesitate. Young Master Yang, there's something wrong with this kid. Yang Shengtian sneered. How could I not know that this kid has an extraordinary background? However, so what if he has a great background? This is the heaven-forsaken, desolate region. The Grand Elder hesitated for a moment before making a decisive decision. Yang Shengtian seemed to have changed into a different person. He said in a voice filled with killing intent, "These Xianbao were lost in ancient Blue City. This person must be a bandit. Capture him." The Grand Elder said imposingly, "What a bold bandit. How dare he sneak into the Autumn Water God clan? Everyone, attack and suppress this person." The upper echelons of the Autumn Water God clan were already ready to attack. They were about to join forces to suppress Su Fong. Bang! The flame-stepped treasured boots on Su Fong's feet suddenly ignited with flames and made an explosive sound. Under the power of the mid-grade Xian Bao, Su Fong's figure flashed out like lightning and appeared in front of the Autumn Water God clan's Grand Elder in an instant. His speed was unbelievably fast and was second only to a thought attack. "You." The Grand Elder revealed a shocked expression. "Even if you have the life to take my treasures, do you have the life to enjoy them?" Su Fong's cold voice sounded in the Grand Elder's mind. Boom! A punch that contained the power of a perfect realm physical body and the scorching power of mysterious yang landed on the Grand Elder's head. The Grand Elder, who was still dreaming, had his head blown up by Su Fong's punch. Blood splattered everywhere. Even his Dharma body could not escape. He was deader than dead. Whoosh! 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 Su Fong's figure swayed continuously. With the help of the flame-stepped treasured boots speed, he was like a ghost. The highest cultivation of the Autumn Water God clan's upper echelons was only at the upper Daozhen realm. They did not have time to react before they were all killed by Su Fong. This brat actually hid his strength. So what? You can't escape the fate of being suppressed by me. Yang Xingtian was surprised and shocked at first. Then, he attacked without hesitation. A thought flashed out from between his eyebrows. In an instant, a Nine Suns aura that Su Fong was incomparably familiar with enveloped him. It turned into 9 divine suns that revolved around Su Fong and released an astonishing 9 suns divine might. It crazily burned Su Fong's physical body and Tao Palace. Even his Tao heart and more melting along with it. The divine ability that Yang Shengtian used was actually from the 9 Suns transformation. You are indeed the successor of the heavenly, sovereign Pan Song. You actually used the divine ability from the 9 Suns transformation to deal with me, Su Fong. How laughable! Su Fong smiled indifferently. A supreme, domineering aura spontaneously arose. Boom! Su Fong's black yang, celestial body merged with his physical body. Then, it erupted with a supreme divine might that could control and refine all the yang in the world. The 9 suns formed by Yang Shengtian's thoughts rapidly collapsed layer by layer. The illusory Taoist rhymes and will attacks were also burned layer by layer under the supreme divine might and Taoist rhymes of the extreme Tao Black Yang technique and turned into nothingness. This brat actually mastered such an amazing divine ability. Damn it, he was actually pretending to be weak before. Yang Shengtian's greed vanished in an instant. His figure flashed, and he was about to escape. It's too late to think of escaping now. Su Fong's cold voice sounded. A red light shot out from his eyes. True eyes of extermination. When Su Fong was still at the lower Daozhen realm, he could already destroy the thoughts of a Taoist lord with his true eyes of extermination. Now that he had advanced to the middle Daozhen realm, his strength had greatly improved. Yang Xingtian was only at the Taoist lord realm. How could he withstand the attack of the true eyes of extermination? Yang Xingtian had just escaped more than 100 feet away when his head was shot by the needle-like red light. Chapter 2677. From Su Fong's sudden attack to the Autumn Water God clan's upper echelons being killed by Su Fong, to Yang Shengtian being suppressed, the entire process only took a dozen breaths. When the Autumn Water God clan's patriarchs woke up The clan's upper echelons, who were usually high and mighty, were all dead. Even the insufferably arrogant Yang Shengtian was howling like a dead dog. Everyone was trembling. Some of the more timid clansmen had fainted from fright, while others knelt on the ground. Su Fong took all the divine origin water that the Autumn Water God clan's Grand Elder had just taken, and then slowly flew to Yang Shengtian. Su Fong's true eyes of extermination had burned Yang Shengtian's soul and shattered his Tao heart. Although he didn't seem to be injured, he was only half dead. He knew that he was going to die, so he simply threw caution to the wind. He gnashed his teeth and shouted angrily, "I am the disciple of ancient Blue City Lord. If you dare to injure me, then wait to be suppressed by the City Lord." Is ancient Blue City very powerful? Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. QL11 Yang Shengtian endured the pain and sneered. You're probably a disciple of some major force that came to the heaven-forsaken desolate region to train, right? So you don't know how powerful ancient Blue City is. The City Lord is a Tao Lord expert, and there are peerless experts that surpass Tao Lords in my ancient Blue City. No matter which force you come from, if you want to continue staying in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, offending ancient Blue City will only lead to death. There are experts that surpass Tao Lords in ancient Blue City? Su Fong was startled, and he wasn't surprised. According to ancestral Graygon, ancient Blue City Lord was the disciple of heavenly sovereign Pan Song, and his strength was only at the Tao Lord level. After all, heavenly sovereign Pan Song's strength was only at the peak of the upper Tao Lord level. From Yang Shengtian's words, it was strange that there were peerless experts that surpassed Tao Lords in ancient Blue City. Su Fong revealed a disdainful expression and said coldly, "How can a mere ancient Blue City have experts that surpass Tao Lords?" Yang Shengtian became complacent. If there aren't peerless experts that surpass Tao Lords, how can ancient Blue City establish itself in the heaven-forsaken desolate region? Su Fong secretly transmitted his thoughts to ancestral Graygon. This ancestor was merely an Empyrean's mount back then. How would I know the Empyrean's secrets? However, what this brat said is also possible. Celestial venerables are geniuses. Perhaps other than the heavenly Tao Dharma body, they also cultivate another Dharma body. A genius. Su Fong chuckled. The primogenitor Pan Song's talent was mediocre. It was only because he cultivated the Jioshuan Wuji Sutra that he managed to cultivate the heavenly way Dharmakaya. How could he be considered a genius? Other than the heavenly way Dharma body, the heavenly sovereign might have cultivated other Dharma bodies. It's hard to say if he's staying in the heaven-abandoned desolate region. If things are as I speculate, we can't leave the heavenly sovereign alive. Su Fong pondered for a while, his heart surging with a fierce, killing intent. The heavenly sovereign schemed to possess him. Even Goddess Luo and Shu Wanjin almost lost their lives. With Su Fong's personality, he naturally wouldn't let the heavenly sovereign go. He wouldn't leave him any way out. With a quick thought, Su Fong looked at Yang Shengtian and coldly snorted, "Then on account of City Lord Goot's song, I'll spare your life." Scram! After saying that, Su Fong waved his sleeve, and a divine power swept Yang Shengtian into the air. Yang Shengtian never thought that he would really scare Su Fong. As a result, he was able to keep his life. He was surprised and pleasantly surprised. "Little bastard, just you wait. If I don't skin you alive, I swear I'm not a human." Yang Shengtian's Tao path had been destroyed by Su Fong. How could he let it go just like that? As he controlled the feather fan to fly out of drifting Cold Island, he pondered on how to take revenge on Su Fong. Su Fong's action of letting Yang Shengtian go puzzled the ancestral Graygon. Why did you let that kid go? He's just an ant-like figure. It doesn't matter if I kill him or not. If I let him out as bait, he'll definitely invite the experts of ancient Song City to take revenge. When the time comes, I'll suppress this expert and search his soul. I'll naturally understand the situation in ancient Song City. I might even be able to obtain information about the heavenly sovereign Pan Song. Su Fong, you really are becoming more and more cunning. He ended the conversation with the ancestral Graygon. Su Fong looked at Qiu Shuihong and Qiu Shuiqing. He took out 20 balls of divine origin water. This should be enough for the Gloom Water sect. Do what you need to do next. I don't want anything like the Grand Elder to happen again. With that, Su Fong abandoned the clansmen of the Autumn Water clan and returned to the courtyard that Yang Xingtian had occupied in the past. Looking at Su Fong's figure, admiration appeared in Qiu Shuiqing's eyes. As they chatted, a Dao Lord had been reduced to dust. Just how powerful and domineering was that? A man like that was a true man. Qiu Shuiqing admired him greatly. In the past, she was filled with thoughts for her senior brother, Qiu Shuihong. Now that she compared Qiu Shuihong to Su Fong, the two of them were like clouds and mud. Coupled with the fact that Qiu Shuihong had shrunk back when Yang Xingtian had forced him, she found him disgusting no matter how she looked at him. Su Fong stayed in the Autumn Water clan. He did not plan on leaving for the time being. The Windrush was isolated. Su Fong just happened to be looking for a secluded place to cultivate, constantly digesting the Dharma bodies of the 6 extreme Dao Lords and rapidly increasing his strength. At the same time, he wanted to help Shroud reconstruct her divine body. Even if Shroud successfully recovered her divine body, she would need to constantly cultivate to recover her past strength. The pond here just happened to be suitable for Shroud to cultivate. Using more than 100 years, Su Fong extracted all the origin god mud that he had collected in the depths of the Windrush Isle and refined it into pure origin god mud. Just as Su Fong had expected, the pure primordial spirit mud that was finally refined from the mountain-like pile of raw materials was only about 50 kilograms. Just the origin god mud alone was not enough to reconstruct Shroud's divine body. He still needed some spiritual items that contained life essence. Most importantly, the blood essence of an expert. Su Fong had killed a lot of cultivators before and had obtained a lot of such spiritual items from their storage rings. If it was not enough, he would let the Autumn Water clan go to the trading ground of the Windrush Isle and trade with the origin god mud. Finally, he had gathered all the materials. Then, there was the blood essence of an expert. Inside the 6 extreme Dao Saints' body, Su Fong had killed the expert of the Xian clan, Xian Tianqi. Xian Tianqi was a peerless expert who had surpassed the Dao Lord. How shocking was the essence of his body! Su Fong had always sealed it in the Jiushuan Dao Palace and could not bear to use it. With his current cultivation, it was not only difficult to absorb the life essence of such an expert, but it was also a waste. This time, in order to reconstruct Shroud's body, Su Fong did not hesitate to take it out. He did not need all of Xian Tianqi's blood essence. He only needed a few drops, along with spiritual liquid refined from other spiritual items and fused with the origin god mud. However, Xian Tianqi's will remain in the blood essence. Su Fong had to completely refine it and wipe it clean, turning it into the purest life essence. Only then could Shroud merge with it. Otherwise, Shroud's primordial spirit and consciousness might be affected or even controlled by Xian Tianqi's will. In the end, she would be possessed. With Su Fong's current cultivation, it was originally impossible to wipe out the will in Xian Tianqi's blood essence. However, with the help of the 6 extreme Dao Saints' will, it could be done easily. Everything was ready. Just as Su Fong was about to start, he suddenly raised his eyebrows and projected a spiritual will. Qiu Shuiqing, what's the matter? It was Qiu Shuiqing. She was outside the barrier that enveloped the courtyard. Qiu Shuiqing looked respectful, but there was a hint of shyness in her voice. My lord's cultivation is boring and lonely. Do you need me to serve you? Su Fong was stunned. He did not expect a beauty to come to him. He rejected her without hesitation. I'm cultivating in seclusion. Do not disturb me. Go. Qiu Shuiqing was disappointed. At the same time, she heaved a long sigh of relief and left. After Qiu Shuiqing left, Qiu Shuihong flashed out from behind a tree outside the courtyard. She looked at the courtyard with hatred in her eyes. Although I don't have any feelings for that girl, Qiu Shuihong's jealousy has turned into hatred. She might do something stupid. I have to be careful. With Su Fong's sensing ability, how could Qiu Shuihong's every move be hidden from him? Xian Tiancheng, the Dao Lord of the Xian clan, was released from the 9 Xian Dao Palace and given to him a large amount of pills and over 100 strands of the consciousness of the 6 extreme paths holy metal avatars. Xian Tiansheng was instructed to keep an eye on the movements of the Autumn Water God clan while he cultivated, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. Thank you, Master. Xian Tiansheng realized that among the elixirs that Su Fang gave him, there were 100 elixirs that were different from other mid-grade elixirs. They were rare, ancient elixirs. The spiritual will of the 6 extreme Tao, Saint, was a treasure that any cultivator dreamed of. Xian Tiansheng, who was suppressed by Su Fang and had no choice but to submit, had no more hatred for Su Fang. After everything was ready, Su Fang started to reconstruct Shroud's divine body. In the Pongsong universe, Su Fang had the means to create the immortal blood spirit and reconstruct the divine body. It was very similar to the immortal blood spirit. Hence, it wasn't difficult for Su Fang to reconstruct Shroud's divine body. He took out the primordial spirit clay and used the power of Xianyang to transform it into Xianyang true fire. He enveloped the primordial spirit clay and smelted it. Under the burning of the Xianyang true fire, the primordial spirit clay gradually turned into liquid and finally turned into a ball of black mist. Su Fang then took out spiritual liquid made from various spiritual items and dropped it into the black mist. Sizzle, the black mist kept surging and rolling as it quickly fused with the spiritual liquid. Then it fused with the life blood chi. The life essence that came from a peerless expert who had surpassed the Tao Lord level was very shocking. When Su Fang sent it into the black mist, it caused the originally cold primordial spirit clay to surge with terrifying life force. Shroud, it's your turn. Su Fang transmitted his spiritual will to Shroud. I didn't expect that there would be a time when I would have to reconstruct my divine body. Shroud's primordial spirit came out from Su Fang's heavenly Tao body. He seemed excited and even a little incredulous. Who his ethereal primordial spirit entered the blood chi. Chapter 2678. It would take a long time for the primordial spirit to fuse with the primordial spirit clay, and spiritual items. It would consume a lot of energy for Su Fang. However, for mystery, Su Fang was willing to go all out. About 300 years later, as time passed, a humanoid body appeared in front of Su Fang. This humanoid body looked exactly the same as Mystery. Its skin was dark and gloomy, and it exuded a cold aura. However, its body was surging with a majestic high-level life aura. I wonder if it was successful. Su Fang sensed it, but he was still worried. After a long time, the body's eyes slowly opened and looked at Su Fang. It revealed a stiff but brilliant smile. Su Fang asked impatiently, "Senior Mystery, how do you feel?" "Kid, the divine body you reconstructed for me is too powerful. It's more than 100 times stronger than my previous body. I'm afraid it will take a long time to fuse with it before I can reach my normal state. I also have to reopen my Tao Palace. However, when that time comes, my strength will definitely increase greatly. Moreover, the physical body is the foundation of cultivation. With such a powerful physical body, I might be able to surpass that old heavenly venerate." Mystery was very excited and talked nonstop. Su Fang was relieved. Next, Su Fang took Mystery and dived into the quiet water pool again. However, he did not enter the quiet water abyss. He created a formation in the pool and let Mystery use the cold aura of the pool to cultivate. After leaving a large number of pills and spiritual items for Mystery, Su Fang returned to the Autumn Water God clan. Next, it was time to digest the 6 extreme Tao Saint Dharma body. At the same time, he had to cultivate the Xianwang Dharma body. He did not expect Qiu Shuiqing to visit him again. This time around, she was not alone. She had brought along the seriously injured clan chief with her. Su Fang had killed the Autumn Water God clan's great elder and many of the upper echelons. He had killed almost all the experts of the Autumn Water God clan. Although the clan leader had kept his position, the Autumn Water God clan had suffered a great loss. Adding on the fact that the patriarch had not recovered from his injuries, if the Autumn Water God clan wanted to continue living on Flowing Cold Island, How could they not hold on to Su Fong's thigh? The purpose of the Autumn Water God clan's patriarch's visit this time was very clear, and that was to propose marriage. It could not be considered a marriage proposal. To be precise, it was selling his daughter. The clan leader proposed that Xiao Shuiqing become Su Fong's concubine. Xiao Shuiqing could also be considered a beauty. However, Su Fong was not a lecher. Naturally, he would not agree. The Autumn Water God clan patriarch fell into despair. Once Su Fong left, how could the Autumn Water God clan not be swallowed up by other forces? Left with no choice, the clan leader pulled Xiao Shuiqing along and knelt down in front of Su Fong. "Sir, please accept my daughter. Even if it's to stay by your side as a maid, the Autumn Water God clan doesn't dare to ask for your protection. We only need you to stay in the Autumn Water God clan and wait for my injuries to recover." The Autumn Water God clan begged bitterly. Su Fong sighed in his heart. This was the heaven-forsaken desolation region. In fact, the entire Jiushuan God domain was like this. Su Fong waved his hand and took out a storage ring. It floated in front of the clan leader and said casually, "I won't accept any concubine or maid. There are 1,000 mid-grade medicinal pills and 3 mid-grade Xian Bao in the storage ring. In addition, there are 50 balls of divine origin water. Not only is it enough for you to recover from your injuries, it's also enough to make up for the strength the Autumn Water God clan lost." The Autumn Water God clan leader was surprised and delighted. He only held onto the storage ring as if he was afraid it would fly away. In the heaven-forsaken desolation region, cultivation resources were extremely scarce. The medicinal pills and treasures Su Fong took out were enough to make Dao Lords go green with envy. How could the clan leader not be excited? Xiao Shuiqing was also surprised and delighted. He was determined to stay and serve Su Fong until Su Fong left. Su Fong thought for a moment and didn't refuse. He let Xiao Shuiqing stay. Su Fong naturally wouldn't reveal his secret. He let Xiao Shuiqing stay in the side room. Without Su Fong's permission, she was not allowed to enter the room where Su Fong cultivated. After giving Xiao Shuiqing some medicinal pills and letting her cultivate on her own, Su Fong went into secluded cultivation. The Autumn Water God clan leader announced in the clan that Lord Fong Yu, who lived in the Autumn Water God clan, was a special disciple from a superpower in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. Not only was he powerful, but his background was also extremely shocking. Moreover, Xiao Shuiqing had become Su Fong's maid and would be brought to a superpower in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain in the future. Once the news spread, the Autumn Water God clan's clansmen were immediately excited. Those powers who were planning to wait for Su Fong to leave and then take the opportunity to swallow the Autumn Water God clan all gave up on the idea. Of course, not everyone was happy that the Autumn Water God clan had found a great backer. Xiao Shuihong was one of them. What special disciple from a superpower in Dongxian? You're just a felon pursued by the 3 profound sects. You've taken my woman, so I'll have you die. Xiao Shuihong waited bitterly for an opportunity with surging hatred. QL11, he was no idiot. Of course, he knew that it was impossible for him to meet the upper echelons of the Gloomwater sect if he went straight to the top secret of the Gloomwater sect. At that time, the benefits he could obtain would be extremely limited, and the news might even be leaked. Once Su Fong discovered it beforehand, he would die without even knowing how. When he thought about how Su Fong had killed over a dozen upper echelons of the Autumn Water God clan, Xiao Shuihong shuddered. How could he not be careful? The opportunity had finally arrived. Sir Han, who had come to the Autumn Water God clan last time, had come again mainly to investigate Su Fong's background. Su Fong had killed over a dozen experts in the territory of the Gloomwater sect and injured the disciple of the city lord of Gutsong. The Gloomwater sect obviously had to investigate this matter. Su Fong was cultivating in seclusion and did not want to see anyone. The Autumn Water God clan leader received Lord Han. Naturally, he could not obtain any useful information from the patriarch's mouth. Lord Han could only leave in embarrassment. Xiao Shuihong volunteered to send Master Han off, all the way to a place far away from the Autumn Water God clan. The opportunity finally came. Xiao Shuihong immediately reported to Master Han. "Master, I have something to report. What is it? That Fong Yu is from the Three Supreme, mysterious sect. Qiu Shui Hong had only spoken halfway when a thought suddenly descended, enveloping him and Lord Han. Qi, Qi. Streaks of sharp sword Qi tore their bodies and the battle form in the Holy Ji Palace to shreds, turning them into dust that fell to the ground. Just like that, 2 living people disappeared without a trace. Within the courtyard where Su Fong resided, Xian Tianqing sent a message to Su Fong with his soul in a side room. Master, Qiu Shui Hong attempted to inform the experts of the Gloomwater sect. I already killed him. Understand? In Su Fong's eyes, Qiu Shui Hong was only an ant-like existence. Su Fong did not take his death to heart at all. Time flew by. 3,000 years passed by quickly. Su Fong suddenly flew out of the courtyard and used the burning light movement technique. He turned into a streak of fiery light and flew out of the Autumn Water God clan in a single moment. After finding a desolate and uninhabited mountain, Su Fong landed on the ridge of a mountain range and quickly set up a formation. Once he sat down in the formation, tribulation Qi spurted out from his body, turning into tribulation fire in a single moment. It enveloped Su Fong. As it turned out, after 3,000 years of cultivation, devouring the spiritual items within the 6 extreme Taoist saints' avatars, and fusing his thoughts, Su Fong was actually about to break through to the upper Taoist truth realm. 3,000 years seemed like a long time, but it was actually just a short period of secluded cultivation for gods. Apart from Su Fong's own efforts and foundation of cultivation, it was obviously because of the thoughts and various treasures within the 6 extreme Taoist saints that he could break through to the next level in such a short amount of time. Every breakthrough was a shattering and reconstruction. It was extremely painful for cultivators, but what came after the pain was a transformation. The breakthrough lasted for half a year before the tribulation fire gradually extinguished. The power of the breakthrough surged through his body. It was not just his body. Jiuxuan's Palace of Ways, as well as the Violet Fate, Heavenly Ways, Soul, and Profound Yang avatars in the Palace of Ways, all underwent shocking transformations. When everything settled down, Su Fong's presence, the insides of his body, Palace of Ways, and avatars had all reached the height of the upper Taoist truth realm. Ascending to the upper Taoist truth realm meant that Su Fong had taken another step on the path of seeking the truth. If he took another step forward, he would step into an even higher realm. Now that I've ascended to the upper Taoist truth realm, even if I don't use some powerful techniques and the 6 extreme Taoist saints' avatars, I'll be invincible below the level of a Taoist master. I'll even be able to fight against an ordinary Taoist master. Su Fong's face was filled with fatigue, but his spirit was incomparably hale and hearty. His eyes flashed with a bright light. With such strength, even if he was not considered a peerless expert in the Jiuxuan divine realm, he could still be considered an expert. This was also the great reward that Su Fong had gained from going through so many dangers, especially when he risked his life to obtain the 6 extreme Taoist saints' avatars. However, the upper Taoist truth realm is far from enough. Su Fong was still not satisfied. After personally witnessing the destruction of those low-level universes, as well as the miserable state of the cultivators from the low-level universes in the Jiuxuan divine realm, Su Fong had a strong sense of urgency in his heart. He did not dare to relax for even a moment. Dong Xianzheng, what's your cultivation level now? Su Fong's face was filled with disdain. With my current strength, I can definitely crush you, but you have a good background. However, so what? It won't be long before I head to the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion, kill Dong Xianzheng, and save Grandfather. A domineering smile appeared on Su Fong's face. After returning to the Autumn Water Celestial Clan, Su Fong continued to immerse himself in cultivation. Other than occasionally splitting his primordial spirit consciousness to sense you, who was cultivating in the dark water pool, he did not ask about anything else. Just as Su Fong was cultivating in seclusion, Yang Xingtian had long come to a place in the central region of the heaven-abandoned wilderness that was comparable to the mystic world. He had waited bitterly in and in for hundreds of years. Chapter 2679. The apparition formed by the thought looked about 30 years old, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. The pupils under his eyebrows shone with a domineering luster and an extremely terrifying murderous aura. Staring into his eyes, one would see a shocking illusion of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Eldest senior brother, you've come out of the Blood Valley? Facing such a shocking, murderous intent, Yang Xingtian felt chills all over his body. Then he was surprised and delighted, his expression excited and respectful, almost kowtowing. The apparition nodded and spoke. Yes, I've just come out of the Blood Valley. I was unlucky this time, encountering a true expert. I almost couldn't make it out. There's someone in the Blood Valley that eldest senior brother can't deal with? Not only are the geniuses of the heaven-forsaken barren region gathered in the Blood Valley, there are also peerless geniuses from Dongxuan's other major forces. I was unlucky this time, encountering a peerless genius from the three sovereign mysterious sects, a powerful figure on the Tianxian ranking. I almost suffered a great loss. Fortunately, not only am I fine, but I've also been promoted to a 9-star Sanguine Slaughter Commander. 9-star Sanguine Slaughter Commander. Yang Xingtian was shocked. He then congratulated loudly. Congratulations, eldest senior brother. If you take another step, you might become the Sanguine Slaughter Divine General. If it wasn't for the promotion of the Sanguine Slaughter Divine General and obtaining the Blood Fiend body, I could have been promoted to Taoist Lord at any time. Why would I wait until now? The apparition said proudly. Then a divine light flashed in his eyes, sweeping over Yang Xingtian. He was surprised. Yang Xingtian, how did you damage your origin? Yang Xingtian slowly recounted what had happened at Lahanyu. The apparition snorted coldly. You're also stupid. Your cultivation base is only in the true Dao realm, but you possess extraordinary abilities and Xianbao. How can you be an ordinary person? That person must be a disciple from some major force in the Eastern Xian divine domain and have come to the heaven-forsaken barren region to train. You've been arrogant in the ancient Blue City for too long. You're blind and have offended someone you shouldn't have. Yang Xingtian cupped his fists and pleaded, Eldest senior brother, please uphold justice for me and kill this person. The apparition said indifferently, Why should I help you? A mere Dao truth realm cultivator. Yet you want me to make a move? Wouldn't that be lowering my status? Yang Xingtian had already expected this, and hurriedly said, As long as eldest senior brother takes action and avenges me, all of my treasures and properties in ancient Blue City will be given to eldest senior brother. Why would this seat care about your measly wealth? My belongings are naturally not worthy of eldest senior brother's attention. However, that person not only has a top-grade Xianbao, I suspect that he even has a top-grade Xianbao that surpasses that. The virtual shadow's expression changed instantly. King-grade Xianbao. That person only has the cultivation of Daozhan, but he was able to go deep into the Gloomwater abyss. How is it possible if he doesn't have any powerful treasures? Furthermore, other than treasures, this person also possesses supreme cultivation techniques and divine abilities that surpass the 9 Yang 9 transformations. After killing him, all of these will naturally belong to eldest senior brother. The shadow pondered for a while and said decisively, Fine, I will only fight once. After I recover, I will go to Luhan Island. As he nodded, the virtual shadow formed by his thoughts disappeared into nothingness. Yang Xingtian was very proud. The scene of Su Fong being suppressed and wailing under his feet began to appear in his mind. Autumn Water God Clan. Su Fong had advanced to the Dao Zhan upper realm. After settling down for 1,000 years, he finally stabilized his realm at a normal state. Only then did Su Fong begin to cultivate the Xianhuang Dharma body with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda as the foundation. After fusing with a large number of spiritual items and gems from the internal space of the Six Extreme Dao Saints Dharma body, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda had already advanced to the height of Xianbao. At the same time, Su Fong also continuously absorbed and fused with the thoughts of the six extreme Tao Saints Dharma body. The six extreme Tao Saint strength was heaven-defying. Although he had fallen, the remnant thoughts of the Dharma body still contained extremely shocking magic power and Taoist rhyme. QL11, after continuous devouring and fusion, Su Fong's cultivation was rapidly increasing. His mastery of the six great Taos also became more profound. After completing all these preparations, Su Fong then began to cultivate the Xianwang Dharma body. This cultivation session took a very long time. Unknowingly, more than 8,000 years had passed. On this day, at the place where the Autumn Water God clan resided, a loud rumble suddenly sounded. The ground shook violently, and countless houses collapsed. It was as if a huge earthquake had occurred. Everyone from the Autumn Water God clan panicked and ran away. Suddenly, 6 different colored Xian Guang soared into the sky. In the air 1,000 feet above the ground, it quickly condensed into the shadow of a pagoda. The shadow of the pagoda quickly materialized and turned into a 10 feet tall pagoda with 6 floors. Each floor of the pagoda released a different colored Xian Guang. The divine power released was also different. It contained the 6 divine powers of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning. It covered an area of 100 miles. What kind of treasure is that? It must be Lord Fong Yu refining a treasure. It has 6 divine powers at the same time and has such an extraordinary Xianguang. What a treasure, what a treasure! Under the divine power released by the pagoda, everyone from the Autumn Water God clan trembled. The mortals could not withstand the pressure of the 6 divine powers and knelt on the ground. With the help of the elixir given by Su Fong, the Autumn Water God clan leader had already recovered. Facing the divine power released by the pagoda, he had no choice but to release the Xian Guang to resist the pressure. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The commotion here attracted the attention of the experts from the other factions in Lahanyu. They all flew toward the Autumn Water God clan. How can the Autumn Water God clan have such an extraordinary Xian Guang? I heard that an expert joined the Autumn Water God clan a few years ago. Could that expert be refining a treasure? Where did this expert come from? How can the puny Autumn Water God clan tolerate an expert? It's clearly the Autumn Water God clan leader who is deliberately mystifying things. The experts from the various factions looked at the pagoda with shock and astonishment in their eyes. This seat wants to see what kind of expert the Autumn Water God clan sent to refine a treasure so brazenly in Lahanyu. A bald man flew through the air and pounced on the pagoda. This man looked to be in his 40s. He had a fierce face and fierce eyes. His entire body was emitting a violent and fierce aura. This man's cultivation was similar to the Autumn Water God clan leader. They were both Middle Tao lords. However, this man's aura was far stronger than the Autumn Water God clan leader. This bald man was an expert from one of the neighboring factions of the Autumn Water God clan. The two factions often had conflicts. The Autumn Water God clan leader's injury was also caused by this man. Seeing the pagoda in the air, the bald man was driven by greed. He wanted to seize the treasure, and at the same time, he wanted to test the strength of the expert mentioned by the Autumn Water God clan. What a treasure! It's in this seat's pocket. The bald man's forehead split open. A thought flashed out and turned into a big black hand that grabbed the pagoda. Boom! The pagoda suddenly shook and the door of the first floor opened. A bolt of lightning flashed out and bombarded the big hand formed by the bald man's thought. The lightning not only contained a domineering thunder technique, but also contained a thunder Taoist rhyme and supreme will that could destroy all things. Under the lightning, the big hand was shattered. Immediately afterward, the lightning spread out with the momentum of an army of thousands of galloping horses. Caught off guard, the bald man was struck by a swift and violent thunderbolt, bombarding his body. The bald man was caught off guard and was sent flying. His body was destroyed by the terrifying thunder energy. His skin turned to ashes. His flesh and bones were also severely injured. His Tao palace was also bombarded by the thunder Taoist rhyme and was almost shattered. his soul origin, and were also severely impacted. What kind of strange Xian Bao is that? It can release a thought attack. The bald man, who was seriously injured, was shocked and horrified. He looked at the pagoda with eyes full of disbelief. The experts from other factions of Lahanyu were also flying toward the pagoda to seize the treasure. What happened to the bald man frightened these experts out of their wits. They all retreated. That's not some Xian Bao. It's the embryonic form of an avatar cultivated with Xian Bao as the foundation. A cold voice rang out from the largest lake in Lahanyu. Then, the lake water surged into the sky. A figure stepped out and arrived 1,000 feet away from the pagoda. It was a middle-aged man. He wore black robes that surged with a black luster, as if he was condensed from water. His cultivation base was shocking as well. He was a Dao expert, but he was only a lower Dao. Lord Sect Leader. Even the Lord Sect Leader has been alerted. The experts all cupped their fists and bowed when they saw the figure. The Gloomwater Sect's leader ignored the experts. Instead, he looked down at the Autumn Water Divine clan and spoke in an icy voice. Which faction of Dongxian do you come from? Why have you come to Lahanyu controlled by the Gloomwater Sect? Su Fang's domineering voice rang out from the formation in the center of the ruins. You don't have the right to know my background. As for why I've come to Lahanyu, you don't have to know. The Gloomwater Sect's leader said darkly, Humph. Only those so-called geniuses of Dongxian can be so arrogant in my territory. I can ignore your background, but not long ago, an expert of my sect suddenly went missing. He must have been killed by you. You have to give me an explanation for this matter, no matter what. That's right. I was the one who killed that person. As for an explanation, what explanation do I need for someone to kill? Su Fang's voice was still as domineering as ever. He knew very well that there were no rules in the heaven-forsaken barren region. The only rule was to compare whose fist was bigger and whose ability was stronger. If he kept showing weakness, it would instead make others think that he was a pushover who could be bullied and plundered as he pleased. In addition, the Gloomwater Sect's leader had not shown himself earlier or later, but had appeared now. He obviously harbored ill intentions and wanted to take advantage of the situation. Why should Su Fang be courteous to him? If that's the case, I won't be courteous. I'll suppress you first and destroy your body. Then wait for your sect to come. Chapter 2680. Suddenly, a thought shot out from the ground with a sharp presence that could cut through everything, slashing towards the master of the Gloomwater Sect viciously. A Dao Lord! The master of the Gloomwater Sect was shocked. He was forced to deal with it with his full strength, so how could he have the time to deal with the tower in the air? A dark Xian Guang shot out from between the master of the Gloomwater Sect's eyebrows. It turned into a river of water and shattered the thought attack. A figure flew out from the ruins and stood between the tower and the master of the Gloomwater Sect. It was Su Fang's subordinate, Xian Tiancheng. A Dao Lord. There's actually a Dao Lord hidden in the Autumn Water clan. Where did that cultivator called Fangyu come from? Why does he have a Dao Lord by his side? The experts of the various organizations on Luhan were all shocked. Only now did they realize that Su Fang's overall strength was much greater than they had imagined. He had actually set his sights on a Dao Lord. He was rather reckless. Including the bald man, many of the experts fled in fright. He actually has such a powerful protector by his side. He really is a disciple of a large organization. The master of the Gloomwater Sect looked at Xian Tiancheng. His eyes were filled with fear. Xian Tiancheng said coldly, I'm not master's protector, but master's slave. You're that kid's slave? The master of the Gloomwater Sect's face immediately changed. Just how shocking was the organization that could have a Dao Lord as a slave? After all, he was only a Dao Lord. Although Xian Tiancheng's cultivation was the same as his, Xian Tiancheng's strength definitely surpassed his. Just how shocking was his master's identity to have such a powerful slave? This is a misunderstanding. Please don't take it seriously. The master of the Gloomwater Sect smiled as he clasped his fist at Xian Tiancheng. Su Fang's sneer rang out. A misunderstanding? Didn't you want to destroy my Dharma body and suppress me just now? Seeing how Su Fang was being unreasonable, the sect master stopped smiling and said coldly, "Don't go too far, sir. Even a powerful dragon can't suppress a local snake. This is Cold Flow Isle. Even if you have a great background, you can't act recklessly here." Su Fong directly ordered Xian Tiancheng, "Kill him and destroy the Gloomwater sect." What madman! He actually wants to destroy the Gloomwater sect? The Gloomwater sect master was both surprised and furious. His voice immediately rang through the entire Cold Flow Isle. Under his orders, all the experts of the Gloomwater sect and the other organizations, including the cultivators who had fled earlier, returned. They all flew towards Su Fong. Ignore the embryonic form of the Dharma body. Suppress his physical body, and his Dharma body is nothing to fear. The Gloomwater sect master gave the order to the various experts while he kept Xian Tiancheng busy, preventing him from saving Xian Tiancheng. When the people of the Autumn Water Divine clan first saw the sect master of the Gloomwater sect personally come to denounce them, they thought that the end had arrived. Soon after, Xian Tiancheng appeared, surprising and delighting them. However, when they saw how the Gloomwater sect and the other cultivators of Cold Flow had all come to deal with Su Fong alone, they immediately sank into despair. Once Su Fong was killed, how would the Autumn Water Divine clan establish themselves on Cold Flow Isle? They might even be destroyed by the Gloomwater sect. Faced with the fate of the entire clan, the patriarch made a firm decision. Attack, assist the Gloomwater sect, and kill Fong Yu. Most of the upper echelon of the Autumn Water Divine clan had been killed by Su Fong last time. There are not many experts left now. Most of them were Taoist truth cultivators. When the cultivators heard the patriarch's decision, they were all shocked and surprised. A member of the upper echelon hesitated. "Patriarch, isn't this a little dishonorable?" The patriarch sneered. "If we don't attack, our clan will be destroyed by the Gloomwater sect. Moreover, what's righteousness worth in the heaven-forsaken wilderness region? But young Miss Chiu Shuiqing is still with Fong Yu. Is a single clansman more important, or the entire Autumn Water Divine clan more important?" The patriarch bellowed with killing intent. He was completely different from how he usually was. He charged towards the ruins where Su Fong was first. This was the heaven-forsaken wilderness region. There were no righteousness or rules. There was only plunder and slaughter. Do you think I'm powerless apart from a Xianhuang avatar that has yet to be fully cultivated? Su Fong smiled domineeringly from within the formation. Swoosh! Swoosh! He released his Xianyang avatar and soul avatar, passing through the formation and charging towards the incoming experts of Cold Flow Isle. Originally, Taoist truth cultivators were unable to leave their bodies with their avatars. However, Su Fong was different. His soul avatar and Xianyang avatar had already been born before he underwent the heavenly tribulation of Taoist truth. As a result, they were much stronger than cultivators of the same level. Moreover, his soul avatar was formed from a second soul. The power of his soul had surpassed Taoist truth and was no weaker than an upper Taoist lord. Jiushuan God Realm cultivators cultivated their own great Tao from the chaos. They condensed their thoughts and used their great Tao and will to attack. Thoughts were based on the primordial spirit and will. Although the primordial spirit divine ability that Su Fong had mastered belonged to a low-level universe, the power of the primordial spirit alone far surpassed that of ordinary Tao lords, let alone Tao truth cultivators. His Xianyang avatar was based on the origin sacred mirror and pure Yang true body. Moreover, it cultivated a peerless technique from Daozu of Shixian. It was even more powerful. As for the heavenly path avatar, Su Fong wouldn't use it easily because there were many cultivators and big goblin living in the inner world of the avatar. In order not to expose his identity, Su Fong didn't release the suppressed Xian clan cultivators. At the same time, he used this opportunity to test the strength of his two avatars. However, in order to prevent the experts from the three supreme mysterious sect from being exposed, the faces of the primordial spirit spell body and the Xianyang spell body were shrouded in a layer of fog formed by the six extreme great Tao Saint thoughts. The soul avatar ignored the attacks and directly entered the crowd of experts. It unleashed sword chi of the primordial spirit. Immediately, the souls of 3 lower-level Taoist lords and more than a dozen Taoist truth cultivators were destroyed. They died on the spot. The surrounding experts were also affected, causing chaos. The celestial yang Dharma body used the burning light escape technique. Like a streak of fire, it instantly closed in on the bald man. Once it returned to its avatar form, it opened its mouth and spat out a ray of sword light. Before the bald man could release his avatar, his head was incinerated by the sword chi of the true yang evil slaying sword. Only a headless corpse fell to the ground. The sword chi didn't weaken and swept across, killing more than a dozen Lahanyu cultivators. The 2 avatars clashed with over 100 Lahanyu cultivators like they were unstoppable. They were unstoppable. The patriarch of the Autumn Water clan was extremely cunning. He shot past the ground and headed straight for the courtyard Su Fong resided in before. His intentions were as simple as they could get. He wanted to directly kill Su Fong's body and contribute greatly to the Gloomwater sect. Not only would he not be punished by the Gloomwater sect, but he might even receive great benefits instead. Little did he know, as soon as he arrived outside the ruined courtyard, miserable cries rang out from behind him. The patriarch of the Autumn Water clan turned around in shock. When he saw Su Fong's soul avatar and Xianyang avatar unleash their might and slaughter, he immediately became dumbfounded. His killing intent and complacency immediately vanished. Afterwards, determination filled his face. He called out to the formation in the ruins, "Sir Fongyu, even if I die, I'll protect Sir's safety." "Patriarch, do you think I'm an idiot? Or are you an idiot yourself?" Su Fong's voice that was filled with killing intent rang out from the formation. With such a shameless person? Rate cut Stan Benzine by Barium Book Fade Slay Juggle Cheating? Mu Shao is hale and hearty? Abate? Scarlet Face? Tao Hung Now, the ancestral Gragon's current strength, was practically invincible beneath the Dowlord level. The patriarch of the Autumn Waters God clan only had time to reveal a look of despair and regret before he was torn to shreds by the claw. Immediately afterward, Ancestral Gragon let out an angry roar and pounced straight at the cultivators of Lahanyu Island. Together with Su Fong's Yuan spirit and profound Yang true body, they launched a bloody battle against those experts. Calling it a battle was not accurate enough. It should be a massacre. After more than 50 people were killed, the other experts of Luhan Island fled. At this moment, the master of the Gloomwater sect and Xian Tiancheng were still engaged in an intense battle. The sect master of the Gloomwater sect constantly sucked out the gloom water from the ground. The Gloomwater's coldness clashed with Xian Tiancheng's, and they were actually not at a disadvantage for the time being. However, when the Gloomwater sect master saw Su Fong's 2 avatars and the incomplete Xianwang avatar, he realized that he was in huge trouble. Just how shocking was his talent to possess 3 avatars at the Dowlord realm. With such talent, he would be nurtured as a peerless genius in any sect or cultivation clan. It was even possible for him to enter the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion. Damn it, what kind of bad luck did I have to provoke such a genius? Didn't I just lose a Dowlord subordinate? So what if he died? I actually wanted to avenge him. The sect master of the Gloomwater sect no longer had the will to continue fighting Xian Tiancheng due to his shock and fury. In the sky, the pagoda rumbled as the entire pagoda began to change shape. Su Fong's figure appeared from the pagoda while the pagoda blurred. The Xianwang avatar was about to be born successfully. Su Fong's Yuan spirit, profound Yang true body, and ancestral Gragon all arrived around the Xianwang avatar to guard it, preventing any accidents from happening. Su Fong's body that sat in the formation on the ground and the 2 avatars in the air all showed eagerness and excitement. Suddenly, an extremely scorching thought filled with the aura of slaughter flashed out of nowhere. It struck the Xianwang avatar viciously while Su Fong was caught off guard. Spurt! Spurt! Su Fong's avatar that had yet to fully condense shattered layer by layer from the shocking impact. Fortunately, the foundation of the avatar, the Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda only shook a few times. It did not shatter. You actually managed to cultivate 3 avatars, and all of them are so extraordinary. You really are a peerless genius. Yang Shengtian was just courting death by provoking you. Hee, killing geniuses is what I like to do the most. Chapter 2681. Seeing that Su Fang's Xianhuang Dharma body was attacked, Xian Tianqing's figure flashed and came to the front of the Xianhuang Dharma body, staring at the figure that appeared. The newcomer looked to be in his 30s. His hair was disheveled, and his appearance was very ordinary. His eyes were fierce and fiery. Just one look from him was enough to make people feel as if their souls were being incinerated. He was wearing a big red robe that seemed to be dyed red with blood. His body was full of killing intent, as if he had just walked out of the killing field. On the right sleeve of the robe, there were 9 small black stars embroidered. They were not embroidered with silk, but formed by Tao patterns. They seemed to have a special meaning. Seeing this person's attire, Gloomwater Sect Master exclaimed, 9-star Bloodkill Commander. Ancestral Gragon's divine light changed instantly. He hurriedly sent a thought to Su Fang. This kid is not simple. You have to be careful. Su Fang's Xianyang Dharma body responded, Old Dragon, this person mentioned Yang Shengtian. He must be an expert from ancient Blue City invited by Yang Shengtian. Do you know this person? Yes, I have some impression of this person. His name is Yang Dingtian. He was once taught by a heavenly lord. Although his cultivation is only at the peak of the upper Tao Lord realm, his strength is not to be underestimated. He is probably comparable to Ling Xingchen. He is a powerful expert who can kill a Tao Lord. Is he really that powerful? Although I don't know how powerful this person is, look carefully at the 9 black stars on his right sleeve. That is a symbol. What symbol? It means that this person has trained in the Blood Valley of the Heaven-Forsaken Wilderness and has a glorious record. He is now a 9-star Bloodkill Commander. Blood Valley? Bloodkill Commander? Su Fang had never heard of it. Ancestral Gragon then explained. The so-called Blood Valley was a dangerous place in the Heaven-Forsaken Wilderness. It was said that Dong Xiandaozu personally killed an extremely powerful alien expert and refined his Dharma body. It was used as a training place for the cultivators of the East Xian Divine Realm. The Blood Valley contained a terrifying killing intent and the blood monsters formed by the alien expert's thoughts. Therefore, it was the most dangerous place in the entire Heaven-Forsaken Wilderness. However, the Blood Valley was also a place to obtain supreme fortune. It was said that training in the Blood Valley could not only rapidly improve one's strength and Tao heart, but also kill enough blood monsters to obtain a special Dharma body called Blood Body. The Blood Fiend Dharma body was very strange. Once it was cultivated, it would be very difficult to kill. Moreover, it would bring an unparalleled and shocking killing aura to the cultivator, causing the cultivator's strength to increase by 2 or 3 levels out of thin air. Of course, the Blood Fiend Dharma body could also be used by itself. The murderous aura it released specialized in breaking through a cultivator's Tao heart and will. Its power was boundless. In the 9 profound divine realm, there was a profound sky ranking that ranked the strength of geniuses. Cultivators from the Eastern profound divine realm would only be recognized by the profound sky ranking if they went through the trials of the Blood Valley and had impressive battle records. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be qualified to enter the profound sky ranking. Most of the cultivators could only have 1 Dharma body in their lives. If they wanted to cultivate a second Dharma body, they needed not only talent, luck, but also a huge amount of resources. Cultivating a Dharma body in the Blood Valley was such an amazing fortune. Moreover, it would bring fame and influence one's future. Naturally, many cultivators would scramble for it. Almost all the genius disciples of the big sects in the Eastern Xian Divine Realm would go to the Heaven-Forsaken Wilderness for training. Blood Valley was a must for them. Depending on the number of blood monsters killed in the Blood Valley, the strength of the blood body would be different. At the same time, they would be recognized by different identities. Yang Dingtian's identity as a 9-star blood killer commander proved that his strength was extremely amazing and could kill ordinary Tao Lords. Hearing Ancestral Gragon's explanation, Su Fong was shocked. I didn't expect there to be such a strange place in the heaven-forsaken wilderness. If I have a chance, I must go to the Blood Valley to train. Ancestral Gragon said, You'd better find a way to deal with Yang Dingtian first. Su Fong showed a domineering smile. Although this person is extraordinary, he is not as good as Ling Xingchen. After all, Ling Xingchen came from the three supreme mysterious sects. He has an extraordinary Xian, Bao, and divine sense, which is incomparable to the cultivators in the heaven-forsaken wilderness. Yang Dingtian is not as good as Ling Xingchen. How can I be afraid of him? Yang Dingtian looked down at Su Fong. Divine light rolled up on Su Fong's primordial spirit Dharma body and Xian Yang Dharma body. Feeling the aura of the origin in the Xian Yang Dharma body, Yang Dingtian was confused. When he saw Ancestral Gragon, he suddenly understood. You are the successor of Ancestor Pan Song. Are you from the Pan Song universe? No wonder he had been taught by the Celestial Master and was a powerful expert from the Blood Valley. He recognized Ancestral Gragon at a glance and also saw the foundation of Su Fong's Xian Yang Dharma body. Su Fong's Xian Yang Dharma body nodded and said, Yes, I am from the Pan Song universe. As for the successor of the Celestial Master, I am. It turns out that you're a lowly member of the Forsaken Slave clan. Yang Dingtian's eyes were full of contempt and disdain. Su Fong sneered. You are also the successor of the Celestial Master Pan Song, which means you're also a member of the Forsaken Slave clan. How can you laugh at me? Yang Dingtian sneered at Su Fong's words. I am not from the Pan Song universe, but from other low-level universes. I used to be a member of the Forsaken Slave clan. However, I have become a powerful expert in the Forsaken Wilderness with my own efforts. I have already left the Forsaken Slave clan. And you, how likely are you to be like me? You are destined to be a member of the Forsaken Slave clan. Su Fong couldn't help laughing. Even if I am a member of the Forsaken Slave clan, why should I feel inferior? You are trying to deny your past, which shows how inferior you are in your heart. Your future achievements will be limited. You are just deceiving yourself. Many members of the Forsaken Slave clan are like you. Yang Dingtian sneered disdainfully. Your Dharma body, the dark treasures in your possession, and the peerless cultivation method for cultivating this Dharma body. I want all of it. It will become a stepping stone for me to embark on the path of peerless experts. And I will suppress your physical body and other Dharma bodies. Then I will bring them to the ancient Blue City and hand them over to my master. My master is very protective of his disciples. Since you have destroyed junior brother Yang Shangtian's cultivation, my master will never forgive you, considering that you are from the same sect. Yang Dingtian raised his hand and pointed at Su Fong's Xian Yang Dharma body. Then a ray of pure Yang light condensed into a sharp sword chi. With the overwhelming killing intent, it rushed towards Su Fong's pure Yang Dharma body, primordial spirit Dharma body, and Xian Tianqing. How dare a Taoist lord be so arrogant in front of my master? Xian Tianqing released a thought and shattered Yang Dingtian's attack. It turns out that you have the support of a Taoist lord. No wonder you can be so arrogant. It seems that Ancestor Pansong has left you a lot of inheritances. This Taoist lord must be one of your inheritances. After I suppress you, those inheritances will all belong to me. Yang Dingtian didn't take Xian Tianqing seriously at all. He regarded Xian Tianqing as the inheritances that Su Fong got from Pansong. Then he looked at the master of the Gloomwater sect and said, "Stall that Taoist master for me for a while. I will not only keep your Gloomwater sect safe, but also owe you a favor. I will pay you back in the future." "Thank you, Your Excellency." The master of the Gloomwater sect was overjoyed and rushed toward Xian Tianqing without hesitation. Nanyang Cauldron, suppress. Yang Dingtian released a thought and turned it into a flame. It quickly condensed into a huge red cauldron, covering Su Fong's celestial body. In the giant red cauldron shadow, 9 divine suns were circling and releasing the shocking 9 suns' primordial fire, which gathered into a terrifying sea of fire. It contained the supreme, pure young Taoist rhyme and the terrifying power to incinerate everything, and swept towards Su Fang's black sun celestial body. At the same time, Yang Dingtian released his celestial body and rushed towards Su Fang's primordial spirit Dharma body, while his body rushed towards Su Fang's body. Yang refining mysterious skill. Su Fang's celestial body performed the Yang refining mysterious skill. A strong power of controlling the extreme Yang suddenly burst out from the celestial body. At the same time, Yang Dingtian performed the true eyes of incineration, which penetrated the huge cauldron shadow formed by the thought. Yang Dingtian's thought was attacked by the true eyes of incineration. Although it was not broken, there was a flaw. The Yang refining profound transformation technique released a controlling divine power that controlled the nine suns' true fire that swept over. The raging nine Yang true fire suddenly became docile and cooperated with Su Fang's power. It was controlled by Su Fang. The shadow formed by Yang Dingtian's thought also collapsed. Yang Dingtian's celestial body and his body were shocked. They gave up attacking Su Fang's primordial spirit Dharma body and his body, and rushed towards Su Fang's celestial body. Hateful Junior, you actually dare to ignore this ancestor's existence. Yang Dingtian didn't take the ancestor dragon seriously at all. The ancestor dragon was completely irritated. The ancestor dragon turned into his original state and started to fight with Yang Dingtian's body. The divine sense performed by Yang Dingtian's celestial body was very strange. It could not only form a shackle force, but also transform into 9 divine suns, which burst out a kind of power to refine everything. Compared with his celestial body, his body was much weaker, but his divine power was also unparalleled. He was on par with the ancestor dragon. Yang refining mysterious skill. Primordial chaos, sacred mirror. True Yang evil slaying sword. Su Fang's celestial body burst out all its strength at this moment. The Yang refining mysterious skill released the supreme power of controlling the extreme Yang. The origin holy mirror, which was integrated with the celestial body, burst out the 9 Yang divine sense. It quickly turned into 9 divine suns, which competed with the 9 suns formed by Yang Dingtian's divine sense. Then the true Yang evil slaying sword was fully activated by Su Fang. The golden sword Qi with the power of incinerating and sharp cut toward Yang Dingtian. Chapter 2682. Bang! In the earth-shaking collision, Yang Dingtian's Dharma body flashed out from the energy tide caused by the collision awkwardly. A god-forsaken slave tribe from the Pansong universe is so extraordinary. What kind of inheritance did Ancestor Pansong give you? You have such amazing strength in the upper realm of the Taojun realm. Looking at Su Fang, Yang Dingtian showed an expression of disbelief. At the same time, there was strong jealousy and endless greed in his eyes. Su Fang sneered arrogantly. I have achieved what I have today because of my own efforts and luck. Why do I need any inheritance? You're just a nobody. How dare you boast? Even if you don't want to admit it, I will kill you, and everything you have will belong to me. Yang Dingtian sneered inexplicably. Suddenly, a golden handprint came out from his body. It was the mighty palm which pushed back the ancestor dragon. Then it flew to the Dharma body quickly and merged with the Dharma body. You are qualified to make me exert all my strength and use the ability of the blood evil Dharma body. I have just cultivated the blood evil Dharma body. As the first practitioner to die under my blood evil doppelganger, you should feel very honored. Yang Dingtian's voice was full of killing intent. Then, layers of bloody light gushed out from his body and condensed into 9 layers of bloody halos, which covered Yang Dingtian layer by layer. The strong killing intent rose up to the sky. QL11, the killing intent, was so amazing that even the master of the Gloomwater sect and Xian Tiansheng, who were Tao masters, trembled. Their Taoist hearts were shaken, and they couldn't help but feel frightened. Yang Dingtian stood in the halos and looked like a god of killing. He was full of killing intent and domineering. Whoosh! Su Fang's body flew up from the ground and merged with the Xianyang Dharma body and the primordial spirit Dharma body. Is that the blood, evil Dharma body? Feeling the killing intent released by Yang Dingtian, Su Fang was also frightened. A chill covered his body, and he couldn't help trembling. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Caillou's Tao heart let out a clear, buzzing sound as a seven-colored light was released from her Tao heart, dispelling the discomfort brought by the boundless killing intent that enveloped her body and mind. Master, be careful. That blood demon body is extraordinary, and it specializes in restraining the Tao heart and will of cultivators. Even though that person hasn't completely cultivated the blood demon body now, merely his blood demon Qi is sufficient to look down upon ordinary Tao lords. Xin Tianqing sent a voice transmission to Su Fang, and he seemed to be extremely anxious. A mere bit of killing intent can't do anything to me. Although Xin Tianqing's blood fiend Dharma body was powerful, Su Fang possessed the colorful Jade Tao heart. How could an ordinary cultivator compare to him? However, Su Fang was still somewhat worried after glancing at the black and yellow Dharma body. At this moment, the black and yellow Dharma body had once again transformed into the appearance of Su Fang. It was absorbing the 6 natural energies between heaven and earth without restraint. It would not take long for it to be born successfully. What Su Fang was worried about was not the destruction of the mysterious yellow Dharma body, but the fact that the mysterious yellow Dharma body had transformed from the pagoda state to Su Fang's original state, which could not cover his face at all. With the master of the Gloomwater's sect strength, it was very difficult to hide from him. Now that his identity had been exposed, it also meant that he would face the frenzied pursuit of the experts of the 3 supreme profound sects. Just as Su Fang had expected, the master of the Gloomwater sect stared fixedly at the black and yellow Dharma body. His eyes were filled with doubt before being filled with joy. Clearly, he had recognized Su Fang's true identity. Even if my identity has been exposed, so what if the experts of the 3 supreme profound sects come for me? Su Fang felt a sense of pride and dominance from looking down on experts. He possessed the 6 extreme Dharma body. After so many years of constantly fusing with it, he could already use a portion of the 6 extreme Dharma body's powers. Even if he faced the experts of the 3 supreme profound sects, he would still be able to protect himself. Moreover, Su Fang was not some weakling with no background. Instead, he had a great backer. There was a sovereign expert from the Western Profound Divine Realm hidden within him. Daozu of the Western Profound Divine Realm had promised that he could help Su Fang 3 times to resolve the crisis for him. So far, Su Fang had not used his promise even once. Xin Tianqing, Ancestral Graygon, you too try to stall the master of the Gloomwater sect. After I kill Yang Dingtian, I will join hands to suppress him. In a split second, Su Fang had already made up his mind. He secretly transmitted a message to Ancestral Graygon and Xin Tianqing. It's too late to be afraid now. I'll show you the real strength of a 9-star bloody killer commander. Su Fang's worried and hesitant look made Yang Dingtian think that Su Fang was afraid of his blood evil Dharma body. He could not help laughing complacently. Then, he activated the blood evil Dharma body. The 9 layers of blood-red halos around his body suddenly shone together. Blood evil saber cut. Yang Dingtian shouted coldly in a domineering manner. The outermost blood-red halo flashed and turned into a strong and fierce aura of slaughter. It swept towards Su Fang. The aura of slaughter rolled and roared. It turned into a huge blood-red saber, which was hundreds of feet long. It chopped towards Su Fang's head with a killing will that could destroy everything. This saber ignored Su Fang's defense and chopped on Su Fang's body. It directly chopped on his Taoist heart. Lowly heaven-forsaken slave tribe. My saber can destroy the Taoist heart and will of any cultivator below the Taoist master. How can you, a mere Taozhun cultivator, resist my saber? Yang Dingtian looked down at Su Fang with a disdainful attitude. Clang! A crisp sound that could only be heard by the original spirit came. The saber of slaughter that chopped on Su Fang's Taoist heart was shattered by Su Fang's colorful jade Taoist heart. Su Fang's colorful jade Taoist heart had been strengthened by the reincarnation fruit of life and death. The fierce aura of slaughter released by Yang Dingtian's blood, evil doppelganger failed to destroy Su Fang's colorful jade Taoist heart. Instead, it was shattered by the Taoist heart. Su Fang's will and origin of soul were not affected at all. Su Fang was relieved. He said disdainfully, "Yang Dingtian, you bragged so much. It seems that the power of your blood evil doppelganger is just so." Yang Dingtian was shocked and surprised at first. Then he was irritated by Su Fang's words. He snorted coldly. Then the remaining 8 blood-red halos surged out from his body. Boom, boom, boom. The murderous aura surged like waves, condensing into sharp swords and spears with murderous aura. There were also phantoms in blood-red clothes, emitting boundless murderous aura, which instantly engulfed Su Fang. How can a mere Tao Zhen cultivator make you defy the natural order? Yang Dingtian showed a domineering smile. Unexpectedly, the next moment, Yang Dingtian's expression froze. A strong will that was superior to that of a Taoist master burst out from Su Fang's body. It shattered the aura of slaughter that swept over. Su Fang stepped out of the blood-red, killing aura step by step. He crushed everything around him. With an invincible, domineering aura and a strong will that couldn't be suppressed by the natural order, he attacked Yang Dingtian. It's impossible. How can a mere Taoxian cultivator have such a strong will of Taoist heart? Has he been possessed by Grandmaster Pan Song? Yang Dingtian's eyes were filled with disbelief. Master is awesome. Xian Tiansheng was dealing with the master of the Gloomwater sect with ancestral Graygon. Meanwhile, he was paying attention to Su Fang's movement. He was afraid that Su Fang would be suppressed by Yang Dingtian. It was not because of his loyalty to Su Fang. It was because Su Fang controlled Xian Tiansheng with a life-shrinking skill. So, Xian Tiansheng's fate was attached to Su Fang's. Once Su Fang was killed, Xian Tiansheng would die with him. It was related to his own life. How could Xian Tiansheng not worry about Su Fang's safety? However, the result was out of Xian Tiansheng's expectation. He couldn't help cheering loudly. Ancestral Graygon shook his head repeatedly. How was this guy like a human being? He's a monster. Xian Tiansheng and Ancestral Graygon were in high spirits. They joined hands to suppress the master of the Gloomwater sect. The master of the Gloomwater sect couldn't find a chance to escape. He suddenly shouted, "This guy is a felon that the experts of the 3 highest black sects are looking for. If you suppress him, you will be valued by the 3 highest black sects. With your talent, you may be accepted by the 3 highest black sects." Yang Dingtian's eyes suddenly became hot. For the practitioners of the Forsaken Wilderness, the temptation of joining the super forces of the Eastern Xian Divine Realm was greater than any Xian Bao. If they suppressed Su Fang, they would be favored by the experts of the 3 highest black sects. It was possible for them to join the super forces of the 3 highest black sects. It seems that I can't let you go no matter what. You are not only my fortune, but also my future. Yang Dingtian's eyes were hale and hearty. A layer of bloody light with evil spirit and murderous intent gushed out from his body. Then it separated from his body and quickly condensed into a bloody figure. This bloody figure looked a little similar to Yang Dingtian. It was wearing a bloody robe with 9 stars pattern on it. This bloody figure was Yang Dingtian's blood evil Dharma body. Different from the Dharma bodies of practitioners, it was completely condensed by blood chi, evil spirit, and murderous intent. Su Fang also sensed that the aura of this Dharma body didn't completely belong to Yang Dingtian. It was more like a puppet under the control of Yang Dingtian. However, the strength of this blood evil Dharma body was extremely amazing. It not only had the cultivation comparable to Yang Dingtian's, but also had the talent of deterring the Taoist heart and will of practitioners. Fortunately, Yang Dingtian's blood evil Dharma body hadn't been fully cultivated, so it couldn't exert its ability for a long time. Yang Dingtian's original body and the blood evil Dharma body rushed to Su Fang at the same time. The blood-evil Dharma body stretched out his hand, and a bloody long spear appeared in his hand. Then he stabbed towards Su Fong. Although it didn't have any divine power, it could directly pierce the Taoist heart and will and kill the origin soul. Yang Dingtian's original body released his thoughts and turned into a nine-suns cauldron to cover Su Fong. He wanted to refine Su Fong like a xianbao. Boom, 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 boom. After an earth-shaking collision, Su Fong broke the shackles, but his heart was pierced by the blood-evil Dharma body spear. Su Fong was blown away. Fortunately, the Taoist heart of Caillou shattered the murderous intent in the bloody spear, so he was not hurt. Bang! The black and yellow Dharma body, which had turned into Su Fong, suddenly opened his eyes. The Xian Guang burst out, and the 6 great Tao rhymes of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, and thunder spread out from his body. Black and yellow Dharma body, come. Chapter 2683. In fact, Su Fong could totally suppress Yang Dingtian with the help of the Dharmakaya of the 6 extreme Tao saints. However, Su Fong didn't intend to do that. Why? The reason why Shi Xiandaozu left a trace of his primordial spirit in Su Fong's body was that he valued Su Fong's talent and Taoist heart. Su Fong was very clear about that. If he couldn't show his own strength and blindly relied on external forces, he would gradually lose the attention of Shi Xiandaozu. Facing the powerhouse of the 3 highest mysterious sects, whose strength was far beyond what Su Fong could bear, Su Fong relied on the strength of the 6 extreme Tao saints to get rid of the pursuit. Of course, Shi Xiandaozu wouldn't say anything. If an opponent like Yang Dingtian had to rely on the strength of the Dharmakaya of the 6 extreme Tao saints, even if Shi Xiandaozu didn't say anything, his impression of Su Fong would definitely decrease. When his impression of Shi Xian decreased, to a certain extent, Su Fong would completely lose the attention of Shi Xiandaozu. Not only did Su Fong have a firm Taoist heart, but he was also ambitious. The Jiuquan Divine Region was so dangerous. Even if Su Fong had incredible talent and luck, it was still difficult for him to have a chance to rise. Now that he finally had Shi Xiandaozu as his backer, Su Fong wouldn't let it go easily and do something stupid that would decrease Daozu's impression of Shi Xian. That was also the reason why Su Fong didn't ask Shi Xiandaozu for help when he was facing a life-and-death crisis. Yang Dingtian is not qualified for me to use the power of the 6 extreme Tao saints. With the help of the Xianhuang Dharmakaya, I can suppress him. Su Fong merged with the Dharmakaya of the 6 extreme Tao saints, and his divine power burst out. The shadow of the 6-colored pagoda emerged on the surface of Su Fong's body. The door on the first floor of the pagoda suddenly opened. Suddenly, a series of thunderbolts flashed out, rolling towards Su Fong. It wasn't an ordinary thunder art, but a Dharmakaya of the 6 extreme Tao thunder that Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda had absorbed. And Su Fong also absorbed the thoughts of the 6 extreme Tao saints and turned them into terrifying Taoist aura. It felt as if the 6 extreme Tao saint celestial body was tailor-made for the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The thoughts and energy within the 6 extreme Tao saint celestial body formed the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda, allowing Su Fong's Xianhuang celestial body to possess a power that surpassed Su Fong's Xianhuang celestial body. Although the strength of the Xianhuang Dharmakaya couldn't reach the level of the 6 extreme Tao saints, its power was extremely shocking. Wherever the lightning swept, Yang Dingtian's divine power and thoughts were all shattered layer by layer. Then another door of the pagoda opened. The amazing fire element divine power with the aura of Taoist aura that could burn everything burst out towards Yang Dingtian again. He used the 9-yang cauldron, but it was quickly suppressed and then shattered. Yang Dingtian was shocked and realized the power of Su Fong's Xianhuang Dharmakaya. It was impossible for him to suppress Su Fong this time. This guy is so tricky. No wonder Yang Xingtian was defeated by him. I can't suppress him at all, and I don't need to suppress him. I only need to inform the experts of the 3 highest mysterious sects about him, and it will also be a great achievement. Yang Dingtian lost his will to fight. He hurriedly took back the blood-evil Dharmakaya and escaped. Suppress his blood-evil Dharmakaya first, which is equivalent to cutting off one of his arms. Then I will suppress him. Saber of Life. Su Fong used the supreme magic skill of life-shortening skill, the Saber of Life. This saber was not aimed at Yang Dingtian, because it would cost too much and consume a lot of his life. Su Fong certainly wouldn't do such a thing that would harm himself. The blade of life chopping had cut off the karma line of fate that connected Yang Dingtian and the blood-evil Dharma body. In an instant, Yang Dingtian lost the connection with the blood-evil Dharmakaya. Yang Dingtian's primordial spirit in the blood-evil Dharmakaya was also wiped out as the karma line of life was cut off. The blood-evil Dharmakaya started to bleed rapidly and turned into a mass of blood floating there. Come in. Su Fong separated his hands, and a door of the pagoda fell on the mass of blood. Before Yang Dingtian had any reaction, the blood of the blood-evil Dharmakaya was sucked into the door of the pagoda. Damn it! You suppressed my blood-evil Dharmakaya. For the blood-evil Dharmakaya, Yang Dingtian had risked his life in the Blood Valley. He didn't know how many dangers he had experienced and how many blood monsters he had killed to cultivate the blood-evil Dharmakaya and become a 9-star bloody killer commander. At this time, Su Fong cut off the connection with him with a strange and powerful divine sense and took away the blood-evil Dharma body. Yang Dingtian was shocked and furious. Not only your blood-evil Dharmakaya, but also your life is mine? Su Fong showed a domineering smile. Under the combination of the black and yellow Dharmakaya and his body, the 6 great divine powers bombarded Yang Dingtian one after another. I'll remember what you did to me today. It won't be long before I not only take back the blood-evil Dharmakaya, but also your head. When the blood-evil doppelganger was still there, Yang Dingtian couldn't do anything to Su Fong. Instead, he was suppressed by Su Fong. Now, without the blood-evil Dharmakaya, Yang Dingtian was like a tiger without teeth. If he didn't leave now, he would only be suppressed. A thought flashed out from the glabella of Yang Dingtian. It turned into 9 divine suns and exploded into a sea of fire. After the explosion, Yang Dingtian disappeared completely. He escaped with the help of the explosion of the thought. How could Yang Dingtian escape? Su Fong was caught off guard. He could only let Yang Dingtian escape. He felt sorry for him. He had planned to suppress Yang Dingtian and search his soul to get the information about the ancient Blue City and the Primogenitor Pan song. It seemed that his plan had failed. Yang Dingtian's strength was extraordinary. He was beyond the ordinary Taoist masters, and also beyond Su Fong's expectation. It was not easy to defeat him, let alone suppress him. In addition, he got Yang Dingtian's Dharmakaya. Although he didn't know what it could be used for, it was still an unexpected gain. Looking at the master of the Gloomwater sect who was held back by Xin Tiansheng and ancestral Graygon, Su Fong's eyes flashed with fierce, killing intent. He flashed away. The master of the Gloomwater sect knew that he couldn't escape. So, he threatened Su Fong. The reason why I can establish a sect and force in Luhan Island is that I have the support of a powerful force in the Heaven-Forsaken God region. If you dare to kill me, the force behind the Gloomwater sect won't let you go. I'm not afraid of the 3 supreme mysterious sects. How can I be afraid of the force behind you? Su Fong sneered domineeringly. He sneered at the master of the Gloomwater sect. Then, Su Fong shouted, I'll give you 2 choices. Submit or die. The Gloomwater sect controlled Luhan Island. Although it was not powerful, it was the dominator of a place. How could the master of the Gloomwater sect surrender to Su Fong so easily? He sneered disdainfully. Surrender to a mere Tao truth realm cultivator like you? What great joke. Moreover, the experts of the 3 supreme mysterious sects are about to kill their way over. You can't even protect your own life, yet you want me to surrender to you? Isn't that laughable? Young man, don't be too arrogant. The Heaven-Forsaken Desolation region is different from a mystic world of the Jioshuan God region. No matter how great your background is, only death awaits you if you offend a powerful force that you shouldn't have offended. You want to die, but that's not up to you. Su Fong took a step forward. Under the fusion of the Xian Huang avatar and his body, he released lightning-attributed might. Lightning swallowed the master of the Gloomwater sect. By the time he reappeared, his body had shattered. The Xintian Dao Palace and his will of ways had been heavily injured from the thunder-attributed presence. However, Su Fong still had some use for him, so he did not kill him. He shackled the master of the Gloomwater sect and sent him into the Zhoushuan Dao Palace before putting away the ancestral dragon and Xian Tianqing as well. He slowly returned to the ruins of the Autumn Water Clan. The patriarch of the Autumn Water Clan had been killed by Su Fong. Most of the remaining upper echelon of the clan had been killed by Su Fong as well. It was no different from extinction. The remaining clansmen would all be swallowed up by other organizations in the end. A single mistake had led to the destruction of the entire Autumn Water Clan. The patriarch had only himself to blame for this. Su Fong had no sympathy or pity for him at all. Only Qiu Shuiqing remained. He was left behind by Su Fong in the formation. After walking into the formation, Su Fong looked at Qiu Shuiqing and said indifferently, "The Autumn Water Clan has already been destroyed. I'll give you some pills and resources. Go run for your life." Qiu Shuiqing knelt before Su Fong and said with a trembling voice, "I don't have the protection of an expert. Even if I get pills and resources, I won't be able to survive in the heaven-forsaken desolation region. I'm willing to follow you and be your attendant forever." "There's no need." Su Fong took out a storage ring and flew it to Qiu Shuiqing before leaving the formation. After coming to the divine realm of the Zhoushuan, especially in the heaven-forsaken desolation region, Su Fong had witnessed far too much deception, betrayal, and betrayal. Why would he take Qiu Shuiqing with him? After experiencing far too much, not only had Su Fong's heart of Tao become even firmer, but it had also become even colder. Afterwards, Su Fong used the power of profound yang and the power of destiny from the life shrinking technique as the foundation to condense a sealing seed. He injected it into the patriarch's soul and fused it with his destiny. QL11 with that. As long as Su Fong was willing, the patriarch's destiny would be under Su Fong's control at all times. There was no need to fear betrayal. The reason why Su Fong had gone to such lengths was mainly for Gloomy. Gloomy would remain in the gloomy water of Driftwind Isle to continue cultivating. He would not leave Driftwind Isle for the time being. As a result, Su Fong spared the patriarch's life, allowing him to continue being the local tyrant of Driftwind Isle to protect Gloomy. After bidding farewell to Gloomy, I have to leave Driftwind Isle as soon as possible. Perhaps the experts of the 3 Grand Profound sects will come at any time. Su Fong headed straight for the gloomy water pool. Who knew? He actually failed to find any trace of Gloomy in the Autumn Water Clan's gloomy water pool. Su Fongda was astounded. He continued diving deeper into the gloomy water, but he failed to find any trace of Gloomy even when he reached the eye of the pool. Could it be that something happened? Su Fong panicked. He entered the gloomy water pool again to search for Gloomy. In the end, Su Fong searched the entire gloomy water pool but failed to find Gloomy. This made Su Fong's heart sink to rock bottom. After returning to the shore, Su Fong began using the profound unravel of heaven and the life shrinking technique after some thought. He did not hesitate to expend his destiny and lifespan to deduce Gloomy's destiny. After several deductions, the result was the same. Gloomy's figure formed by the profound unravel of heaven was shrouded in a faint purple mist. It indicated that not only had he not encountered any danger, he had instead obtained a supreme, fortuitous encounter. Chapter 2684. The life-shrinking technique and unraveling of heaven's divination would definitely not be wrong. Su Fong guessed that Shroud must have entered the depths of the ghastly pool and obtained an unexpected fortuitous encounter. Shroud was the netherlord of the Ponsong universe in the first place. He had also used the origin god clay to reconstruct his divine body. It was not too surprising that he could enter the ghastly pool. The ghastly pool was unfathomable. Su Fong did not know what fortuitous encounters there would be. It was Shroud's luck that he obtained it. Shroud should be fine. I'll leave Luhan off first. I'll come back for him after avoiding the experts of the three supreme profound sects. Su Fong made his decision decisively. He then ordered the Gloomwater sect master to pay attention to the Autumn Water clan's ghastly pool. He was still worried, so he left behind another subordinate. This subordinate was an expert from the Xian clan that Su Fong had previously suppressed within the Six Extreme Dao Saint Celestial Body. Although his cultivation wasn't as high as Xian Tianqing's, he was still an expert who had reached the peak of the upper Dao Lord realm. Swish! After making the arrangements, Su Fong used the burning light escape technique. He turned into a streak of fiery light and shot past the barrier of Luhan Isle in an instant. He passed through the cold currents around Luhan Isle and disappeared into the void of the heaven-forsaken wilderness. 3 days after Su Fong left, in the space above the Autumn Water God clan, there was a sudden fluctuation, and then 2 figures flashed out from the ripples in the space. The old woman in the lead was Heartbreaker from the three supreme profound sects. The young man behind her was Ling Xingchen. This is Luhan Isle. Executioner Granny's gaze swept past the material. She was furious when she failed to sense Su Fong's aura. She snorted. He really got away again. Ling Xingchen said, Su Fong is as cunning as a loach. This is the heaven-forsaken wilderness. It'll take some effort to catch him again. Heartbreaker's face darkened. Humph. I let him escape last time because I was careless and had the sky-devouring poisonous crocodile. Otherwise, how could he have escaped so easily? Ling Xingchen hurriedly said, That's right. No matter how heaven-defying that Su Fong is, it's impossible for her to escape from Martial Uncle's palm. After he escaped last time, I returned to the sect and borrowed the Supreme Xian Bao from the First Elder. As long as that kid is still in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, he will not be able to escape from my pursuit. Heartbreaker flipped her right palm, and a silver mirror appeared in her hand. Ling Xingchen was shocked. Sky-searching mirror. Martial Uncle even borrowed First Elder's King Grade Xian Bao heaven-searching mirror? This time, even if Su Fong runs to the ends of the earth, he won't be able to escape Shirshu's pursuit. Executioner Granny revealed a smug expression as she performed a hand seal to activate the silver mirror. The surface of the mirror surged with a crystalline silver light, and it emanated a shocking might that was the evolution of time and space, and it stretched out in all directions and instantly covered the entire Coldstream Isle. With the help of Xian Bao's power, Zhu Xian's eyes reflected the scene of Su Fong using the burning light escape technique and flying out of Luan Island. Let's see if he can fly this time. Humph! I will let you have no way to fly and no way to escape. Ruthless and overbearing light flashed in Executioner Granny's eyes. She waved her sleeves and released a divine power that twisted the space around Ling Xingchen. Then she escaped into the space and disappeared without a trace. While Executioner Granny was chasing Su Fong, Yang Dingtian returned to the ancient Blue City. The 3 highest mysterious sects. I told you the whereabouts of Su Fong, but they sent me away with 1,000 middle-grade elixirs. One day, humph, since I can't get many benefits from the 3 highest mysterious sects, it's better to report the matter of Su Fong to Master. Maybe I can get more benefits. Yang Dingtian was full of resentment and anger. He went straight into the city and then flew to the depths of the ancient Blue City. He met the city master of the ancient Blue City and told him everything about Su Fong. After Yang Dingtian left, the city master of the ancient Blue City came to the depths of the palace. He passed through layers of bounded domains and came to a cold underground palace. Facing the cold stone door, the city master of the ancient Blue City repeated Yang Dingtian's words word by word. It was silent for a long time. I understand. You can go now. An old and ethereal voice came out from the stone door, as if it didn't belong to this world. The city master of the ancient Blue City left embarrassedly. The underground palace fell into a dead silence again. After an unknown period of time, the old and faintly discernible voice once again sounded faintly. I didn't expect that the successor that I nurtured in the heavenly Tao avatar would actually leave the universe within the avatar. It seems that the plan has failed again. That cultivator called Su Fong was actually able to sever the karma of destiny between me and him. Looks like he's a person that possesses great karmic luck and great fortune. Could it be that this is the will of the heavens, and I'm destined to fail? A heavy sigh came out. Will of heaven, even if it is the will of heaven, I will go against heaven. Su Fong was born in my universe and got my Hunyuan holy mirror and 9 changes of 9 suns. Everything about him belongs to me. He can't escape from my control of fate. He can cut off the karma of fate. Humph! Can I continue my fate and plant karma? After the domineering voice came out, a figure came out of the stone door and appeared outside the underground palace. The figure and aura of this person were very ethereal. Not only the naked eye, but also the primordial spirit couldn't see his existence. It seemed that he didn't exist in the real time and space, but in the fate. It was a Dharma body of the heavenly Lord Pan song. Moreover, it was not an ordinary Dharma body. In order to escape the fate of being devoured by the descent of the evil god, he had specially cultivated a supreme Dharma body using the heavenly secret life shrinking technique and the heavenly mystery solution as the foundation. The heavenly mandate Dharma body. Su Fong left Luan Island and used the burning light escape skill all the way to the vast void. He found a floating ruin and landed in it. Before I find out the details of ancient Blue City, I can't go there. If the Heavenly Lord really left a Dharma body in ancient Blue City, it will be quite troublesome. Let's go to the biggest force in heaven-forsaken wilderness first and find the treasure that can promote the birth of the pregnant Heavenly Tao core and awaken the Heavenly Lady. Helping Heavenly Lady Luo resurrect was one of the main reasons Su Fong left Song Universe and came to Jiuxuan's divine realm. When he was in Fire Luo Mystic World, Su Fong also tried to find out about the pregnant Heavenly Tao core. The celestial fire world was just a mystical world, after all. Although Su Fong was able to obtain some useful information, it was not too accurate. At any rate, the number of cultivators cultivating out the heavenly Tao Dharma body was very small. Thus, the information Su Fong obtained was mostly vague. So Su Fong didn't dare to make a move. Heaven-forsaken wilderness was different. Although it was chaotic, there was no lack of capable people. Also, there was no lack of spiritual items and treasures that were hard to find in the mystic worlds of Eastern Xian Divine Realm. Let's go to Heaven-forsaken wilderness's biggest force, Dallas City, and find the biggest chamber of commerce. After I find some useful information, I'll find a way to collect spiritual items. Su Fong made a decision in his heart. At this time, Shixian Daozu's voice suddenly sounded in Su Fong's Jiuxuan Dao Palace. If you have the chance, you'd better go to the Blood Valley. Shixian Daozu hadn't said anything for a long time. He didn't expect that he would suddenly remind Su Fong because of the Blood Valley. It seemed that the Blood Valley was indeed very important. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Master also knows about the Blood Valley in Heaven-forsaken wilderness?" Shixian Daozu said, "In Jiuxuan's divine realm, every divine realm has a place like the Blood Valley in Heaven-forsaken wilderness that is used to cultivate human geniuses. What's so strange about Master knowing about the Blood Valley?" "I see. In the Blood Valley, you can cultivate the blood evil body. This is only one of the benefits. There's another great benefit. If you become the divine general of bloody slaughter who surpasses the commander of bloody slaughter in the Blood Valley, or even obtain the title of divine lord of bloody slaughter and be listed on the heavenly profound ranking, even the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion won't openly hunt you down, let alone the 3 supreme mysterious sects. Why is that? The true enemies of human cultivators are the foreign races and the various dangers from the chaos. In order to prevent human experts from killing each other, the supreme experts of the Jiuxuan's divine realm together created the Jiuxuan's heavenly law to restrict the fights between cultivators. It's because of the restrictions of the Jiuxuan's heavenly law that although there are endless fights among cultivators, it's limited to a certain extent, especially for those peerless geniuses. Once you display the brilliance of a peerless genius, you'll be protected by some special rules of the Jiuxuan's heavenly law. Those peerless experts from various factions and even the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion must abide by these rules and not touch you at all. Xixian Daozu's patient explanation enlightened Su Fang. It seemed that he had to go to the Blood Valley. With his current strength, he could completely crush Dongxian Zheng. However, he had never gone to the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion to rescue his grandfather's soul because he was wary of the faction behind Dongxian Zheng. If he didn't have to be wary of the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion, why would Su Fang wait until now? Dongxian Zheng was a disciple of the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion, Daozu's disciple. On the other hand, Su Fang came from a low-level universe and was regarded as an ant by the Jiuquan's divine realm cultivators, a slave race forsaken by the heavens. So what if he had the strength to crush Dongxian Zheng? Now, he finally had the chance. The Blood Valley was the stage for Su Fang to show his talent. Once he showed his peerless talent, he didn't have to be wary of Dongxian Zheng's identity. It's good for you to seize Yang Dingtian's blood-killing Dharma body. You can integrate it into your blood-killing Dharma body. Then, you'll have a higher starting point in the Blood Valley. You don't have to climb up from the bottom. Xixian Daozu's following words surprised and delighted Su Fang. He never knew that blood-killing Dharma body could be seized from other cultivators and made it his own. Xixian Daozu continued, "It's not easy to integrate other people's blood-killing Dharma bodies. I have some mental cultivation methods here that you can use to cultivate." Haha, here comes your trouble. Let's talk about integrating blood-killing Dharma body after you escape this disaster. Trouble? Su Fang was stunned. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A sensing force locked onto Su Fang, prompting the Tao runes of the divine secret life shortening technique to flash rapidly. Finally, they condensed into the figure of Heartbreaker. There's no end to the experts of the three highest mysterious sects. This time, I'll make you return in defeat and completely destroy your thoughts. Chapter 2685. After so many years, the expert from the three highest mysterious sects was still chasing after Su Fang. This completely triggered Su Fang's ruthless and decisive side. So what if he was an expert from the three highest mysterious sects? Su Fang had the six extreme Tao Saints' celestial body and merged with the six extreme Tao Saints' Tao heart. He could use a part of the six extreme Tao Saints' power. With Su Fang's current cultivation, he couldn't use the full power of the six extreme Tao Saints' celestial body. Once he did, Su Fang would consume a lot of energy. However, it was enough to injure or even kill the expert from the three highest mysterious sects. If he wasn't forced into a corner, Su Fang wouldn't use the six extreme Tao Saints' celestial body so easily. Su Fang quickly merged his Tao heart with the six extreme Tao Saints' Tao heart in the Jiuquan Tao Palace and instantly controlled the entire celestial body. Then, he activated the Xianhuang celestial body and merged it with his physical body. In such a state, the six extreme Tao Saints' spiritual power and six great divine auras seeped into the Xianhuang celestial body. Luckily, he had cultivated the Xianhuang celestial body and could merge the six great divine aura of the six extreme Tao Saint. In this way, Su Fang would possess a part of the six extreme Tao Saints' power. He would surpass the Tao Lord and even the Pang tribe's ancestor. Although this state would only last for a short period of time, Su Fang was confident that he could injure the expert from the three highest mysterious sects. At the very least, he could make the expert return in defeat. He had just completed all of this. Whoosh! A divine aura that could confine space suddenly descended and enveloped Su Fang and the surrounding ruins. Brat, let's see where you can run to this time. Grandmother Zhu Xian's sinister voice came from the void. Then, she and Ling Xingqian's figures flashed out from the void. Ling Xingqian shouted domineeringly, "Su Fang, since you came from a low-level universe and it wasn't easy for you to achieve what you have today, kneel down and surrender. I will plead with Uncle Zhu Xian to spare your life." Su Fang laughed coldly and said, "Ling Xingqian, have you forgotten how pathetically you escaped from the internal space of the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body? a dignified genius of the heavenly profound ranking, a special disciple of the three highest profound sects, is just a piece of trash who bullies others. Ling Xing's eyes flashed with shame and anger. What six extreme Tao, Saint's celestial body? Zhu Xian frowned and looked at Ling Xingchen. Ling Xingchen knew that this was bad. Not only would he not be able to obtain the six extreme Tao, Saint celestial body from Su Fang, he would also have to bear the wrath of Heartbreaker Grandma. He hurriedly said, Elder Zhu Xian, it's better to suppress Su Fang first, then I'll explain to you. The executioner Granny snorted and stared at Su Fang as if she was trying to see through Su Fang. It seems like you have a lot of secrets. I'm getting more and more interested in you. Surrender now. I'm not interested in an old monster like you. Su Fang sneered. You'll suffer even more pain from now on. The executioner Granny snorted and a thought flashed out from between her eyebrows. This thought contained the supreme Tao rhyme and power of the great Tao of time. It surpassed the speed of time in the real world. Although Su Fang was prepared, he was unable to put up any defense, and the thought entered his body. Boom! A surge of time power exploded in Su Fang's body, causing Su Fang's life to flow faster. The superpower of the three highest profound sects is indeed powerful. Su Fang was shocked, and he hurriedly used the six extreme Tao Saints' will and magic power to resist the erosion of time power. The six extreme Tao Saints' strength far surpassed the executioner Granny's. What Su Fang could use was not even 1% of the six extreme Tao Saints' true strength, but its power was still shocking. It suppressed the power of the executioner Granny's thought and compressed it into a ball before finally sealing it. Su Fang also paid a price. The power of time made him feel as if he had experienced 1,000,000 years of time, which was equivalent to losing 1,000,000 years of his life for nothing. Su Fang had not even lived 1,000,000 years since he was born. Although losing so much time wasn't much compared to a cultivator's long lifespan, it made Su Fang's hatred soar. The six extreme Tao Saint strength was ready to be unleashed. That's the legendary six extreme Tao Saint's power? Extraordinary, very extraordinary. The executioner Granny's cloudy eyes suddenly lit up. A mere Tao true realm cultivator is like an ant in front of me. Kneel down before me. A strong and powerful intent that seemed to come from the heavenly Tao surged out of the executioner Granny's body and pressed down on Su Fang. The three highest mysterious sects, time, space, and heavenly Tao are so terrifying. When facing the will of the heaven Tao, Su Fang was like a tiny ant, and when facing the supreme heaven Tao, a feeling of being lowly and tiny couldn't help but gush out from the bottom of his heart. His entire body trembled, and he couldn't help but want to kneel down and submit. The executioner Granny's eyes were cold and proud. Suddenly, the executioner Granny's body trembled, and her face instantly turned pale. Extreme fear appeared in her eyes. It turned out that an illusory power had locked on her fate and wanted to wipe out her fate and everything related to it. This feeling was 10 times, no, 100 times more terrifying than the fear of death. The Heavenly Fate Stage. The ultimate superpower from the Heavenly Fate Stage. The executioner Granny was scared out of her wits. She couldn't care less about Su Fang. A power that distorted space surged out of her body and enveloped the executioner Granny as she flew away. Ling Xingchen was shocked and didn't understand what was going on. However, Ling Xingchen was also a cunning person. Although he didn't understand why the executioner Granny was running away, he quickly reacted and turned around to leave without hesitation. Su Fang was gathering the six extreme great Tao heart's intent to shatter the executioner Granny's intent. Seeing this, he couldn't help but be shocked. Is the executioner Granny trying to play hard to get? That doesn't seem to be the case. Su Fang was confused. The power of the space around them also disappeared as the executioner Granny left. Su Fang immediately used the burning light movement technique to fly away. In the void 100,000 miles away, an ethereal figure was looking at them from afar. There seemed to be an invisible line that connected the ethereal figure and Su Fong together. You can cut off the karma line that controls your destiny. Why can't I continue it? Humph, I'll plant the cause today. I'll take back the effect in the future. You'll never be able to escape from my control. The illusory figure muttered to itself before slowly dissipating into nothingness, as if it had never existed in the first place. The executioner Granny used her space superpower to escape from the heaven-abandoned desolate region. Only then did she calm down. Why would an expert from the heavenly fate stage suddenly appear and attack me? Could it be that Su Fong is related to the heavenly fate stage? The heavenly fate stage was the most mysterious and powerful existence in the Jioshuan divine domain. Although the executioner Granny was an elder of the three supreme mysterious sects, she was like an ant compared to the legendary heavenly fate stage. However, after thinking about it carefully, the executioner Granny felt that something was amiss. The ethereal power that locked onto destiny was indeed a destiny superpower that only the experts from the heavenly fate stage had. However, the power of destiny was not as terrifying as the legend said. Otherwise, she would not have been able to sense it. The locking of destiny could not be stopped even if they were separated by endless time and space. If it was really an expert from the heavenly fate stage, how could the executioner Granny possibly escape? Damn it! Someone purposely pretended to be an expert from the heavenly fate stage for the sake of Su Fong to scare me. The executioner Granny suddenly realized something. She was instantly enraged. If I catch you, I'll pull out your tendons and skin you alive. As for that Su Fong, I have the heaven-searching mirror. As long as you're still in the heaven-abandoned desolate region, you won't be able to escape from me. Wu Dao Mysterious World. The biggest force in the heaven-abandoned desolate region, Wu Dao sect, had built a mysterious world in a collapsed space. Around Daolas City, there was a huge barrier that stabilized the collapsed space. It merged with the space as if it was a natural barrier. Mountains floated in the space inside the boundary. They were all plundered from the Eastern Xian divine domain by the experts of the Wu Dao sect. On the mountains, there were dojos for the Wu Dao sect's cultivators to cultivate. There were also mountains that were rented to foreign cultivators. In the center of the Wu Dao mysterious world, there was a huge city floating in the air. It was Wu Dao City. Cultivators from a heaven-abandoned desolate region and the Eastern Xian divine domain gathered in Wu Dao City. There were good and bad people mixed in with the honest folk. There were even foreign tribes that infiltrated the city. However, Wu Dao City was controlled by the Wu Dao sect. The Wu Dao sect had set up a series of rules so that Wu Dao City was not as chaotic as the other places in the heaven-abandoned desolate region. Instead, it was prosperous. At this moment, Su Fong was strolling on a street in Wu Dao City. After escaping from the executioner Granny again, Su Fong did not dare to stop and went straight to Wu Dao City. Su Fong put on the flame mask again and asked the cultivators around for the location of the biggest chamber of commerce in Wu Dao City. He went straight to the Chamber of Commerce. On the way, several sensing forces swept past Su Fong's body. He did not take it to heart at first. Who knew that there would be a sensing force from a Dao true upper realm cultivator lingering around his body, causing a fierce qi to surge in his heart. Su Fong used his full circle ability to sense it. Who knew that he would sense a familiar aura, which shocked and stunned him? Qiu Shuiqing? She actually came to Wu Dao City too? Qiu Shuiqing was not alone. There was a white-faced young cultivator beside her. It was this person who was constantly sensing Su Fong. That person's cultivation is not high, but his clothes are not ordinary. He must be a disciple from a big force who came to the heaven-abandoned desolate region to gain experience. This kind of young disciple is a fat sheep that is very easy to get. Go, try to get close to him. The white-faced young man ordered Qiu Shuiqing. This Qiu Shuiqing hesitated. Chapter 2686. Su Fong was still wearing the same mask as before, so how could Qiu Shuiqing not recognize him? Go and seduce Su Fong. That was a peerless expert who could even suppress a Dao master. What was the difference between seducing him and a rabbit trying to seduce a tiger? Seeing Xiao Shuiqing hesitate, the pale-faced youth threatened coldly. If you don't obey, I'll send you straight to the brothel. With your looks, you'll still be worth some money. Xiao Shuiqing could only grit his teeth and catch up with Su Fong, who was hurrying past. He said timidly, "My lord, why are you in Wudao City?" Su Fong directly transmitted his thoughts and spoke in Xiao Shuiqing's mind. Hearing Su Fong's question, Xiao Shuiqing was immediately overjoyed and hurriedly replied, "My lord, when I left Luhan Island that day, I unfortunately encountered bandits and was saved by that person." Su Fong snorted. "I'm afraid that person isn't a good person either." "My lord is wise. That person's name is Wen Xiangjia. He's actually a cultivator who makes a living by swindling people. He specializes in using young women as bait to lure rogue cultivators and then extorting treasures. He sent you to seduce me." Su Fong laughed involuntarily. Xiao Shuiqing begged, "My lord, save me." "Fine. I didn't want to bring a burden with me. Since I met you again in Wudao City, it means that we're destined to have this karma, so I'll save you this time. Follow me." Su Fong's reply made Xiao Shuiqing both surprised and happy. He followed Su Fong closely, afraid that Su Fong would go back on his words. Finally, a fat sheep has taken the bait. The pale-faced cultivator looked at Su Fong and Xiao Shuiqing's figures, his eyes full of pride. Su Fong brought Xiao Shuiqing and quickly arrived at the largest chamber of commerce in Wudao City. Su Fong's purpose in coming to the Chamber of Commerce was to find a way to cultivate the pregnant heavenly Dao core. In addition, he wanted to inquire about the Blood Valley and ancient Blue City. "Guests, please follow me." After explaining the purpose of their visit, a maid of the Chamber of Commerce brought Su Fong and Xiao Shuiqing to the back of the Chamber of Commerce. They passed through a formation and arrived in a spacious room. In the room, a middle-aged woman was sitting cross-legged behind a square table. When she sensed the arrival of Su Fong and Xiao Shuiqing, she slowly opened her eyes. "What would you like to buy?" The middle-aged woman glanced at Su Fong and Xiao Shuiqing and noticed that both of them were at the true Dao realm. She asked indifferently. Obviously, she did not treat the two of them as important guests. Su Fong said, "The method to nurture the heavenly Dao nucleus." "Pregnant heavenly Dao nucleus?" The middle-aged woman was slightly surprised and took another look at Su Fong. In the Jiushuan divine realm, there were not many cultivators who cultivated the heavenly Dao Dharma body. Using one's own cultivation and life to condense the heavenly Dao core would not benefit the cultivator at all. Therefore, the heavenly Dao core was an extremely rare item. The middle-aged woman pondered for a moment, then looked at Su Fong and said, "Our Chamber of Commerce does have the method to nurture the heavenly Dao nucleus. However, the price is not low." It turned out that she was worried that Su Fong did not have enough money. Su Fong smiled faintly. The last thing he lacked now was money. With a wave of his hand, a storage ring rolled out from his palm and slowly flew towards the middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman grabbed the storage ring and sent her consciousness into the space inside. Suddenly, the divine light changed slightly. The storage ring that Su Fong took out contained tens of thousands of mid-grade elixirs. Even a Dao Lord expert would find it difficult to take out so many elixirs at once. In the heaven-forsaken desolate region, cultivation resources were scarce. 10,000 elixirs were enough to make experts who had surpassed the Dao Lord level go green with envy. Su Fong, a Dao Lord cultivator, took out 10,000 mid-grade elixirs at once. It was truly shocking. The middle-aged woman looked at Su Fong with a different gaze. In fact, the elixirs that Su Fong had on him were plundered from many cultivators he had killed. There were also many elixirs that were of a higher grade than mid-grade elixirs. Moreover, the spiritual items inside the six extreme Dao, Saint's celestial body, were incomparably precious. However, Su Fong did not intend to take them out and did not have the need to. The middle-aged woman's attitude took a 180-degree turn. She waved her sleeve and released a gentle divine might. She pushed the storage ring in front of Su Fong and asked with a smile, "May I ask, young master, our Chamber of Commerce's method to nurture the heavenly Tao nucleus is divided into 4 grades: supreme, high, mid-grade, and low-grade. May I know which one you would like?" "How much is the supreme cultivation method?" Su Fong asked without hesitation. Since it was related to Goddess Luo, he naturally had to buy the best. The supreme cultivation method requires 3,000 mid-grade elixirs. This price is naturally nothing to young master. However, I still advise young master to buy the high-grade one. Why? Using the supreme cultivation method to nurture the heavenly Tao nucleus will naturally require the highest grade of spiritual items. Some of these spiritual items are not only rare in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, but also in the entire Eastern profound divine domain. Therefore, the high-grade one is the most suitable. I see. Then how many mid-grade elixirs are needed for the high-grade one? It's half of the price of the supreme cultivation method. It's only a little more than 1,000 mid-grade elixirs. Su Fong thought for a moment and said decisively, "Give me a copy of all the supreme and high-grade cultivation methods." The middle-aged woman could not help but exclaim. One had to know that in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, 1,000 mid-grade elixirs were enough to ask for the help of a Tao Lord expert. It was also enough to buy the lives of several Tao Lords. Su Fong had bought all the supreme and high-grade cultivation methods. This was equivalent to throwing away the elixirs. No matter how rich he was, he could not be so willful. Qiu Shuiqing was flabbergasted. Given her previous identity as the eldest daughter of the Autumn Water God clan, she would be overjoyed for a long time if she could obtain a few mid-grade elixirs. Su Fong had casually thrown away 1,000 mid-grade elixirs. This was not a fever from having too much money. He was simply a wastrel. Then, Qiu Shuiqing hurriedly sent a thought to Su Fong. "My lord, don't show off your wealth. Be careful not to be targeted by the Merchant Association." Su Fong replied in surprise. Could it be that the Merchant Association is also a robber while doing business? Many merchant associations in the heaven-forsaken desolate region are like this. They sell their treasures to cultivators while secretly sending people to rob them. However, those are all small merchant associations. I've never heard of a large one like this. It's fine. The middle-aged woman recovered from her shock and said with a smile, "Young master is indeed generous. I'll give you the supreme and high-grade cultivation methods right now." With that, she formed a seal that fell into the void. There was a fluctuation in space, and 2 jade slips were sent out. Su Fong took the jade slips and used his consciousness to sense them. Then, he threw the 2 jade slips to the middle-aged woman. "I'll take both of these jade slips. Remove the restriction inside." Just like that, Su Fong finally obtained the cultivation method for the pregnant heavenly Tao core. However, things were not over yet. Su Fong repeatedly read the 2 jade slips after removing the restriction and finally made a decision. The cultivation method for the pregnant heavenly Tao core was different from the spiritual items used. It determined the cultivator's future achievements. Although the supreme grade cultivation method required very rare phase, and the cultivation method was 10 times more complicated, for Goddess Luo's future, Su Fong had decided to use the best. Next, Su Fong listed the spiritual items required to cultivate the pregnant heavenly Tao core using the supreme cultivation method. He condensed it into a jade slip with his consciousness and asked the middle-aged woman to look for it in the Merchant Association. The middle-aged woman took out a rune talisman. After communicating with someone through the rune talisman, she finally confirmed that the spiritual items on the list could be purchased in the Merchant Association. There were more than 10 spiritual items that the Merchant Association did not have. They were rare even in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Even if they appeared, they would be immediately snatched up by experts. After storing the spiritual items in his body, Su Fong paid close to 20,000 mid-grade elixirs. He did not have enough mid-grade elixirs, so he took out some xianbao that he did not need to exchange for them. Su Fong's generosity shocked the middle-aged woman and Qiu Shuiqing. The middle-aged woman was grinning from ear to ear after making a big deal. Su Fong continued, I also need information about the Blood Valley and ancient Blue City. The more detailed, the better. The Merchant Association has ready-made information about the Blood Valley. It is the best and most complete information in the entire heaven-forsaken desolate region. As for ancient Blue City, it is not considered a major force in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. The Merchant Association does not have ready-made information about ancient Blue City. We need to immediately arrange for people to inquire about it. I will live in the cave residence rented out by the Merchant Association for 1,000 years. I hope I can get everything I want before I leave. 1,000 years is enough. The middle-aged woman agreed. Then the middle-aged woman took out the information about the Blood Valley and handed it to Su Fong. Su Fong had paid a large sum this time, adding the cost of renting the cave residence. He had almost used up all the Xian Bao he had plundered. The middle-aged woman arranged for the Merchant Association staff to bring Su Fong and Xiao Shuiqing to the depths of Pathless City. They arrived at a mountain range controlled by the Merchant Association and finally arrived at a cave residence on the mountain ridge. Su Fong used the control token to open the cave residence's boundary and brought Xiao Shuiqing into the cave residence. Su Fong gave Xiao Shuiqing some elixirs and an extremely high-level water cultivation method and divine ability. They were all plundered from the cultivators he had killed. He let Xiao Shuiqing cultivate them on her own. Su Fong went to the deepest part of the cave residence and opened the boundary. He sat down cross-legged and immediately began to decipher the information about the Blood Valley. After a long time, Su Fong withdrew his consciousness from the jade slit and sighed. So the Blood Valley is such a strange place. It turned out that the legendary Blood Valley was not in a certain profound world or material territory of the heaven-forsaken desolate region. It was an independent space-time created by Dongxian Daozu with his supreme divine ability. There was no special door to enter the Blood Valley. Instead, there was another way to enter. Cultivators who entered the Blood Valley for the first time needed to obtain a token called the Blood Fiend token. Every merchant association had this token, and it was given free of charge. As long as one activated the token, a Blood Fiend gate would automatically appear anywhere in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Through the Blood Fiend gate, one could directly enter the inner space of the Blood Valley. As long as a cultivator who had entered the Blood Valley before obtained the Blood Fiend Shi inside the Blood Valley and activated the Blood Fiend Shi, it would also cause the Blood Fiend gate to appear. The interior of the Blood Valley was like a transcendent world full of slaughter. There were even many cultivators who lived there for a long time. As for the detailed map of the interior of the Blood Valley and the various dangers, they were all described in detail in the map purchased by the Merchant Association.